Sunday night on the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Frank Red's in the house. Man, Luka is a Laker. De'Aaron Fox is no longer a Sacramento King. Zach LaVine is a Sacramento King. What's going on with the Warriors? Is Jimmy Butler coming? Is Jimmy Butler going? The NBA trade deadline just around the corner. We have a lot to discuss. Join us right now. All right, welcome to the Krug Show Sunday night. Hope everybody's having a great February the 2nd. Man, rainy, cold day out here on the West Coast. I'm sure it's not better back east, but it is 7:04 West Coast, 10:04 East Coast. Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket. Get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corners, Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. My friend Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. And Mancini's Sleep World is also sponsoring this live stream. They're a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. They offer a 120-night guarantee with a range of brands and price points. With Mancini's, you get free next-day delivery. So I'm loving my Mancini's bed. Click the link below or go to sleepworld.com and find a bed that works for you. Whether you shop online or visit in any of Mancini's stores, just type in Krug10 when you're checking out, and you'll get 10% off. That's Krug10, Krug 10, and you'll get 10% off in any of Mancini's locations or online at sleepworld.com. Well, unbelievable Saturday night, sitting around watching, just kind of watching some highlights from the Senior Bowl, just kind of messing around on the computer, and then it comes across the Dallas Mavericks trade Luka Doncic to the Lakers. And in a deal that sends Anthony Davis to Dallas, but really, man, it's one of the most nonsense deals I think I've ever seen. I don't understand it at all from Dallas's perspective. Frank, what'd you think when you heard it initially? And then we'll go into it from there. But what did you think of that trade when you first heard it?
Larry, first of all, you're frozen.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
How frozen? You don't see me moving?
No. Got a still shot of you. You look great, by the way.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me make sure we got everything. Just check everything, all the bells and whistles. Could be good. Still frozen?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. I have to pop out and pump back in. Give me 30 seconds and I'll be right back.
All right. What's up, everybody?
Frank, if you can hold it down for a minute here, I'll be right back.
Okay, you're back now, by the way. You're unfrozen.
I'm unfrozen?
Krug Show fans, what's up? How y'all doing?
Am I back?
There? Larry and I are going to talk about all of the interesting.
Am I still frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen now, but you wasn't. Okay, now.
Okay, hold on. Let me just check one thing. I'll have to reboot here. Hold on. Okay. Give me 30 seconds. I'll reboot.
Sounds good. I'm probably going to have a take that's not popular with the masses. I've heard so many takes by prominent people who think that this trade was so one-sided, and I don't necessarily feel that way. So we can talk about it, though. I mean, basketball is a team game, and there's some nuance to it that I don't think fans really get unless you're in it. And it's not like football where organizations can kind of control the power dynamic on football teams. You can't do that in basketball. And if you have a, quote, leader that your team does not believe in, it's not going to work. As simple as that. And I think that is a conversation that's missing. The other thing is, Luka, I think, wanted to go to the Lakers. That's an organization that he liked. Back.
Am I back?
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry. I apologize to everybody.
All good.
Not sure. We have a lot of rainy weather. Maybe that was contributing. Maybe I needed to reboot the computer before I started the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was asking you your thoughts of that trade when you first saw it. I mean, and I didn't get a chance to hear what you said. What did you? What was your first thought, Frank, when you saw that trade come across?
Shocked, like everybody. It's not something that you would expect to happen. First and foremost, generally, you don't trade top 10, top 15 players for each other. A lot of people think Luka's a top 5 player. AD, you could say that he's playing like a top 10, top 12 player this year. So I was shocked, but I wasn't as alarmed as a lot of people. I mean, decidedly, people think that Dallas got fleeced. I don't necessarily believe that, and I got some reasons why I feel that way.
Okay, well, let's get into that. I personally, I don't understand trading a player as coveted as Doncic. One's a on the ball point, but I mean, I don't get why you would, I guess here's the question I don't get. I don't get why you wouldn't just say, hey, you know what, we'd like to move this guy, and you would have gotten 20 offers, and then you could sift through and say, you know what, this is the best for the Mavericks. I mean, what is the goal here? Is the goal here to make the Lakers great? I mean, I don't know. I mean, personally, my first thought was, man, the league the ratings are down dramatically. Is it possible that the league just is so desperate for, the Lakers and the Celtics potential finals in June to kind of revive the league, since the two most popular players in it are Steph and LeBron, and they're almost at the end, and it doesn't seem like they're about to hand the reins of a successful league to guys. It seems like they're still the face of the league, and they haven't done a great job at marketing the young guys. I don't know. I mean, is it possible the league's hurting so bad that they would want the Lakers and the Celtics, a Luka-led Lakers team in the finals against the Celtics? Is that the dream? And otherwise, why wouldn't you let the other teams in the league make an offer? I mean, I don't get that. I mean, if I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, I'm incredibly frustrated by this. I had a 25-year-old point guard, and now you're going to tell me that he's out of shape and you need to go with defense. And Anthony Davis, who's misses tons of games all the time, has had all kinds of injuries, and you're gonna trade. I mean, if Anthony Davis was 28, I get it. 33?
That's 31.
31?
Yeah, he's 31.
Okay. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't ever want to trade the young superstar for the older player. I don't think it makes Dallas better long term. They were in the finals a year ago with Luka. I mean, it makes me wonder what's going on with the league, what's going on with the Mavericks. I'll say this. The optics are going to be awful if the Dallas Mavericks win the NBA draft lottery like really soon. Like if they wind up winning the NBA draft lottery like either this year or next year, everybody's gonna call BS on that, because what I mean, why would they make this nonsensical trade? I don't understand it. Why would you? I mean, even if you thought this was a fair trade, you're shortening your window to win so dramatically. Isn't there? Wouldn't you? I just couldn't believe the Mavericks didn't get a whole slew of picks and pick swaps to sweeten it on their end, because now, heck, if Dallas doesn't win a championship in the next 2 years, winds up being a horrendous trade for them. What do you think?
I think that every point you're making is spot on. But you know what? I mean, this is a gunslinger type of move. And your first take about how, the NBA kind of can live in the gray area, that's not an outlandish take. This is the same league in which the commissioner, David Stern, rescinded a trade because he thought that the imbalance would be hurtful to the league. A perfectly normal trade that would have sent Chris Paul to the Lakers. David Stern comes in on his white horse and said, we're not going to do that. All right. This is the same league that allegedly my New York Knicks, got a real nice, warm or cold envelope to get Patrick Ewing back in the day. So, do
you believe that?
Well,
I
mean,
the Warriors should have gotten that number one pick. They ultimately wound up with the 7th pick in Mully.
Right. I mean, it's folklore, but we really don't know. Now, with regards to the basketball part of it, basketball is a different game than football because you got 5 guys. Those guys are really, really close. I've seen nothing from Dallas that says that those guys liked Luka as a leader. I don't think they did. I think they I don't think they did. I think they looked at a guy who was a outer-worldly, generational talent that walked around with a certain level of privilege that historically NBA players don't walk around with. The reason why the Golden State Warriors won 4 championships is because they were all locked in and they challenged each other in ways that I don't think the Dallas Mavericks felt that they could do with Luka. And then the other subplot is you're going to pay this guy $345 million when he shows up in shape. Sometimes he doesn't. No. I mean, the numbers are so ridiculous now that these owners are on pause. He lost $117 million by this trade. So, I think they wanted to be out of the Luka business, but I don't think that they wanted to take a sledgehammer to the relationship long term. And they sent him to a place where I think he'll be good, he'll be loved, he'll be historic, and maybe they can mend some fences down the road. That's the perspective I have. You have it from a fan's perspective. I get it, but I don't. I look at it from a player's perspective. I'm in the players' camp, but I'm also in the accountability camp.
I'm just going to say it. I don't respect a league that allows one of its marquee teams to reinvent themselves on the fly and never take any time off. I mean, the Lakers were handed Worthy, they were handed Magic, they were handed Shaq, they were handed Kobe, they were handed everybody. They were handed LeBron, now they're handed Luka. It fries my bacon. Absolutely. I really can't stand the fact that the Lakers never seem like they always can hit a reset. Jerry West all of a sudden flies to Orlando, and now Shaq is a Laker in his prime. What did they trade? Nothing. They traded nothing. What did they lose? Nothing. They just became great and won titles. Suddenly it was like Kobe's in the draft. Don't draft Kobe. Don't draft Kobe. Don't draft Kobe. Why? Because the Lakers are going to draft Kobe. Then ultimately Charlotte did and traded for him. I hate that. I mean, it would be, if all of a sudden the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, but like let's say the Rams or Lakers or Rams or Jets or the New York Giants, the teams in the media markets, if they just started getting out of nowhere just these miraculous, unbelievable one-sided deals, that favor them, it just drives me crazy. Memphis can't make that trade. OKC can't make that trade. It seems like maybe nobody besides the Lakers can make that trade. And it's like, if a guy who's as good as Luka Doncic is available and all the Lakers have to offer is old Anthony Davis and nothing else really of note, that seems like the league had an interest in hand delivering him to the Lakers. I mean, it looks bad, the optics. I guarantee you there is going to be a lot of people shouting a lot of terrible shit tomorrow. So everybody get ready for it. You know, the fix, the league's got nothing. You know, the ratings are, I mean, the bottom line on this is the ratings in this league are terrible. They're in the toilet. Nobody's watching. So to say that the league potentially could have worked behind the scenes to get this iconic, you know, star player to, you know, one of their iconic franchises, maybe the one team that if he gets to the finals could actually drive the ratings in the league. I don't know, man. I mean, it's looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. You know, it's a duck. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'd love to say that trade's on the level, but there's like 9 different things about it that make me feel like it's not. Who made this deal for Dallas, by the way? Who's Dallas's executive?
Nico Harrison.
I mean, I heard his quote. He's like, "Yeah, we need to win now, and we need a defense defense first kind of a team."
I mean, listen, like you said before, this is a 2 to 3 year window, right? But to me, Dallas is a favorite in the West right now, and everything that you're saying is correct and feasible. Nobody has the business model that the NFL has. They have the perfect business model. And every other professional organization has to find a way to make their organization work. The NBA has done that. The NBA already has the bag of money. Now they have to show their partners that, we're worthy of all these billions of dollars that you've given us. Is it conceivable that, again, there was a streamline when Dallas said they wanted to get rid of Luka, that they called LA and only LA, and Silver was like, hell yeah, do it. Yes, it is. I guarantee you, Larry, NBA fans, they don't give a shit. They really don't. They don't. Because guess what? You still got to go out and play. You still got to go out and win games. Just like the De'Aaron Fox of San Antonio. Guess what? San Antonio, the Spurs, they're going to be better. So while there's some trickeration there and it's a little fuzziness there, this is how the NBA has historically done business, and I'm not surprised by it. And I don't think Dallas made out bad. I don't.
Let's welcome in the great Dan Coach Emilio. Easy for me to say. Have all kind of technical issues tonight. All kinds of, seriously, it's been a crazy show so far. Danny, of course, the czar of NorCal Sports Network. He is the man that built the wall around NorCal Sports Network. No, Danny. Take this wall down. Now, Dan, tell us, weigh in on this, Danny. What'd you think when you first heard we're not into the De'Aaron Fox news yet. We'll get to that in a second. We're really just focusing on the Luka to the Lakers trade for Anthony Davis. And I think it's bad for basketball. Some people would say it's great for basketball. But I just think that any time you have the rest of the league saying, oh, they got better in a way that we don't, that's an avenue we don't have available to us. That's when, in some ways, I think this is almost worse than what I've seen this offseason from the Dodgers in baseball. The Dodgers are, they're acquiring players, but they're acquiring players in normal fashion. I mean, could you imagine if the Dodgers, could you imagine if the Dodgers today traded Clayton Kershaw to somebody for like a super young starting pitcher who was awesome? Who's a great young starting pitcher that you can think of?
Tariq Skubal.
Yeah, they trade Clayton Kershaw for Tariq Skubal. Don't you think there would be a lot of people going, wait a second, Kershaw used to be good, but he's not as good now, and they're getting this young guy who's great?
You funny
I don't know.
It seems
very unfair.
I did put together a baseball trade that was similar to that because I was thinking, what baseball trade's similar? Because Anthony Davis is still a top 10 player when healthy. Okay.
Right.
Maybe a top 5, you could argue. He's that good. So I said, how about the kid from Kansas City, Bobby Witt Jr., who's 21, 22, awesome, traded for Mookie Betts because Mookie Betts is still great, but he's also over 30. and he's going to only have a few good years left. That's kind of what this trade feels like to me.
I saw in the NFL, I was going, how about this one? Jamar Chase to the Buccaneers for Mike Evans and a second-round pick.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting there going, well, wait, Mike Evans is going to the Hall of Fame, man. Mike Evans. Yeah, but Jamar Chase. And, you know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of, I mean, I'll just say this. There's a lot of unhappy people about this. Danny, go ahead and give it. I'm going to look for Ron Izola's tweet because Isola ripped the shit out of this. But go ahead, Danny. I kind of cut you off. You were giving us your breakdown.
I was live last night when the news broke, so we immediately went live on the Luka and the Luka AD trade. My point was this: this is a trade to me that looks like Dallas trying to win now, and that the Lakers are saying, "Okay, we've got our star in place when LeBron leaves." I don't think this makes the Lakers better. I think they're going to struggle because on offense, both LeBron and Luka are pretty much the same player, with LeBron will take it to the hoop more, but they're both play outside a little further. They want the ball, and they don't have a center. Watch them go get Vucevic now because they don't have a center. That'll probably be next. But defensively, it hurts them. But I think this is a move that just keeps LA in, I was thinking about this, Larry and Frank. Before 1958, LA didn't have a baseball team or a basketball team. And now it is, I don't care what people say. I know you're from New York, Frank. LA is the sports capital of the world. And that's the way the sports world wants it because of Hollywood, everything. It's just, they want the glamour. They want everything to happen there. I look for the Rams to be the next team that the NFL starts to build around.
You mean, in what way? What do you mean build around?
Just like make them their KC Chiefs eventually. The Rams will be the darlings of the NFL in a few years.
Let's catch a little bit of the reaction here. Here's a guy that I really enjoy watching. I don't know if you guys like this guy or not. But he's one of my favorite guys to watch, Emmanuel Acho. And Acho's pretty interesting. I've met him before. Him and his brother Sam played at Texas. And Emmanuel's pretty compelling speaker. Here's what, I guess he's a Dallas guy. So here he's weighing in on this. You're not hearing that. Hold on. There we go. Here we go. Little Acho weighing in.
Wow, I am at a loss for words. As a Dallas native, I can truly say this was one of the biggest mistakes in the history of the Mavericks franchise. You just traded a 25-year-old Luka Doncic in his prime, a 5-time first-team All-NBA player in 6 years, mind you. You just traded a player that is one of the greatest catalysts for winning of the generation. He carried the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals last year. He brought the Mavericks back out from the depths of the pits of the grave after the absence of Dirk Nowitzki, took the Mavericks to a conference finals 2 years ago. He led the league in scoring last year at 33.9 points a game, and he's 25 years of age. And the reasoning is he doesn't play enough defense. I get it. Then find a 3-and-D player. Find some defensive specialists, but you do not trade under any circumstance a box office talent like Luka Doncic. Yeah, it's malpractice. You don't trade under any circumstance a 25-year-old player who can lead the league in scoring, who hasn't even entered his prime, who just led you to the NBA Finals. You do not trade that individual. I can't make sense of this. Wow.
He's upset. And it sounds like he's a Mavericks fan. I guess I would be a little bit more understanding if it was just a regular trade. But it feels like the NBA making a business decision that we're not privy to. I'd feel so much better about this if this were a trade involving Luka to the Sacramento Kings. I'd feel way, way better about this if this were Luka going to the Memphis Grizzlies. I'd feel better about this if this were Luka going to the Phoenix Suns. But to hand him to your marquee franchise, the Lakers, And again, the Lakers get an automatic reset with an awesome young player.
Larry, you know what it sounds like?
It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating.
Larry,
it's more frustrating, Frank, than the days when you and I sat next to each other and the Warriors would be like, "Come watch the Warriors play Kobe," and I was okay with the Warriors being bad then. It's not even about the Warriors, as you can say. I haven't even brought up the Warriors really. I'm not worried about the Warriors. Even though I'm a lifelong Warrior fan, I just don't like the fact that the Lakers get another. They were the Lakers were they were dead end. I looked at the Lakers when the Lakers went all in on LeBron, that they were donezo. No more moves, that they'd driven their franchise off the cliff, and there would be some kind of reset. And instead, they win a finals in the bubble, amazingly. And now here they are when it looks like, oh, well, LeBron's done now. They have nothing left. They don't really have anything to trade. They don't have an attractive roster. They don't have a bunch of assets. Oh, but now they suddenly wind up with Luka Doncic, who's 25. It's bad. It's bad. It's not a credibility builder for the league.
No,
it might be great for the bottom line of the league. I think it probably is good for the bottom line of the league.
All right.
But I don't like it for credibility purposes.
They've never had any credibility on that level. They never have. Because as you said, they always wind up with the jewel. They scare teams out of drafting Kobe Bryant. He's from Philly. Don't draft Kobe. So I don't have a problem with it because you still got to play. Nobody saw the Warriors coming. The Warriors owned the last decade. You know what I'm saying? So you can have all of these shiny parts. You still got to go and play, and you can still build teams to compete. So is it shady? Yes, a little shady. But everybody who signs up to pay money for an NBA team, they know what they're getting into, and the return on their investment has been incredible. So, everybody's kind of in on this, Larry, except maybe the fans. The fans might not be in on it, but everybody on the inside is in on it. And Jason Kidd and I are not friends, but I've been in Jason Kidd's presence before. I played against him in Pro-Am games. I'm sure as great as Luka is, he was tough for Jason to coach. I believe that. Jason would probably say, hell no. But I think he was, because how you going to motivate your team when you got a guy who's not willing to do everything to win? Acho saying go find some 3-and-D guys. He sounds like a guy who's never coached before. He sounds like a TV guy. Like Peter Jennings doing.
Well, he's a football guy, but basically what he's saying is, hey man, if you need defense, go trade for Gary Payton. Don't trade your star guy just because you need a little bit more defense. Go get a defensive specialist, I think is what he's saying.
You need to like your teammates. You got 5 guys. You need to like your teammates. You need to love your teammates. And I don't think they love the guy. I just don't.
Oh, they must hate him. I don't want to speculate, but can't we say some either Luka either there's a drug problem we don't know about,
wow,
or his weight issue is an incredible hindrance, and they think it's a very serious thing, or his personality is just atrocious. It cannot be that he just is not great on defense, because he's an incredible offensive player. You know how many great offensive players didn't play a stitch of defense? My God, most of my childhood, almost all the players I rooted for didn't play any defense. You think George Gervin was a great defender? He was an amazing offensive player. The league got by for years with all kinds of guys who played very little defense and incredible offense. So I get it. Luka's not great defensively, but it has to be something more. There has to be something. There's some fracture here that they had to get him out of there. Either something happened, or we're not getting all the story, because I just, there's some when there's something that doesn't make sense. Oftentimes there's a backstory, and I feel like this doesn't make sense. And we just don't know exactly what the backstory is. But I will not take Dallas's word that they just were like, hey, we need to have more of a defensive team, and this was our way to do it. It's like, once again, what's the downside of saying, hey, the deadline's in a week and we've decided we're going to move Luka. Give us your best offer. We'll make a deal by the deadline. I mean, you're right up against the deadline. The deadline's coming up this week. Instead, they make the deal and nobody else knew that he was available. I mean, do you think Mike Dunleavy had any idea that Luka Doncic was available? Probably
no. No, even if you heard this, the general manager of the Mavericks talking, he was sitting with Jason Kidd, and he said, sitting right next to Jason Kidd, said him and Pelinka worked on the deal for like 3 weeks, and they kept it quiet. He said Jason Kidd didn't even know about the deal, but he goes, I know the kind of player Jason likes, so I went ahead and did it. It's kind of like, surprise, Jason. It's kind of like buying your wife a vacuum cleaner for Christmas, right? I mean, you know what you want. You're going to excite her so much. I mean, hey, I just got rid of Luka for you, Jason. I mean, I don't know. But
well, it always what makes me wonder, too, in a sport like basketball, where, man, if you're playing 40 minutes in an NBA game, you are burning an unbelievable amount of calories. Yes. And if you can, if playing as an NBA basketball player, you're working up a big time sweat 3-4 times a week, and you're practicing in between somewhat, man, you got to be doing something to put on that much weight. So he either is in love with food or he's in love with booze, because he's putting on weight in season in a sport where you're using your body and burning calories at a ridiculous rate. There are guys that I know that have a hard time, not losing weight throughout the season because they just get worn down. This guy's literally working up a major sweat 3-4 times a week and putting on weight as the season goes on. That either reveals terrible habits, eating or drinking, or some kind of dysfunction. I know the Giants had this problem with Pablo. He just got unbelievably fat in Boston, and we all saw his belt explode in the middle of a game on a swing, and it was bad. I mean, seriously. I mean, Pablo was just, and I talked to Pablo. I remember Gary and I talking to Pablo after he came back to the Giants, and I asked him, I said, what were you doing, in Boston? What happened? And he was just like, hey, man, I would go to the game. I would finish after the game. I'd go have a big dinner and a bunch of beers, and yeah, well, there you go. You can't have a gut bomb at 1:00 in the morning with 7 beers every night. I don't, especially as a baseball player, you're not moving as much as a basketball player. But even in the NBA, if you're drinking, if you're drinking or eating late night all the time and you're putting on weight as an NBA player, you've got to be taking in an unbelievable amount of calories because you're burning tons of calories.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got to ask you this, guys. With the NBA, we talked about the Lakers always seeming to get everything just falls in their laps. I mean, you look at the top 10 players, they probably have 7 of them. I mean, if you count all the guys, Jabbar, Wilt, Magic, Shaq, Kobe, that's 5. Now
Paul Gasol.
Yeah, I mean,
another guy who kind of automatically just kind of found his way to the Lakers. I mean,
look at the draft in '79. Then the '78 season, the Lakers were 47-35. They end up with the number 1 pick and get Magic. 3 years later, they're 57-25, whatever they are, and they end up with the number 1 pick and get James Worthy. All while they have Kareem, who they got in a trade in '75 with Milwaukee. I mean, how does this just keep happening where they just keep getting all these? It's like, oh, wait, hey, the Lakers are down and out. We got to, you know what? The 80s are here. We got to come up with, we got to get the Lakers, Magic Johnson and Worthy and make Boston and LA rivalry for the next 8
I mean,
10
the
years.
Worthy thing was clean. It was just Ted Stepien or whatever they changed the rules about how many picks you could trade because of the Cavs-Lakers deal that gave the Lakers James Worthy. So that was a bad situation. But yeah, no, the Lakers keep finding new ways to reinvent themselves with very little pain. Somebody's like, hey, the Lakers weren't good for like a 4-year stretch. Here we go. Lakers weren't good from 2014 through 2018. You know, once again, it's like they don't have in all of the time I've been watching the NBA, at no point do the Lakers really have they don't have a natural championship. Like a championship where they drafted this guy, drafted that guy, drafted this guy, drafted that guy, and like pieces all put it together, made a key trade here, key signing there, and it all came together. It's all like they got awarded some amazing player. It's hard to stomach. It's hard to stomach, and it just seems like it's going to happen again. And I guarantee you, all kinds of people tomorrow, coast to coast, are going to be ripping this to death, to shreds. People are calling this thing that the other 28 NBA teams need to commission an investigation into this.
Please.
That the Mavericks could have gotten way more for him. I mean, you don't think they could have gotten more? They definitely could have gotten more. So that makes you wonder, if they could have gotten more, why didn't they try to get more? And why is it that this great player winds up in a major market in a year where the league is really, really hurting, and having him in LA would really help them? Is Cuban still the owner of the Mavericks?
He is a minority owner. He owns maybe about 10%, allegedly 10%. He has some investments in like the proposed casino configuration of the new owners as well. But now he's not the majority owner anymore.
What a bad year for Cuban, man. Cuban, whoa. You lose the NBA Finals. You lose your franchise control. It's just been a rough year for Mark Cuban, man. I kind of feel for him a little bit. All right, let's talk about the other trade. The other trade that just came down, De'Aaron Fox, who, this was kind of disappointing. This is, here's the other side of the NBA. Guys like De'Aaron Fox are like, get me out of here. I don't want to be in Sacramento. And so, sure enough, 24 hours after Luka to the Lakers, the Kings and the Spurs have made fireworks. Shams Charania reported it. The Kings are sending De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, and Zach LaVine is coming back and in the deal. And I think Herder's also in this deal as well.
Yeah.
It's a three-way deal, but Sacramento ultimately is going to get Zach LaVine, and they're going to get rid of De'Aaron Fox. What did you think of this deal? I mean, now the league's got Fox and Wembanyama together, so that should help showcase Wembanyama, and the Spurs take a step forward. But what do you think about it from Sacramento's perspective?
Well, for me, I think Sacramento, they did get 3 number 1 picks.
It's a much more favorable deal.
One of them is
here's the deal, by the way. Here's the exact deal. Spurs get De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Herter, a 2025 first, and Kings get Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, who's actually a decent player. I like Sidi Sissoko. A 2025 first from the Hornets, a 2027 first from the Spurs, a 2031 first from the T-Wolves, and then second-round picks, 1 in 25, 2 in 2028. So, I mean, considering Fox wanted out, I thought for the Kings' perspective, I like Sissoko, I like LaVine, and they got 6 picks. I thought Monty McNair did a nice job there. What do you
probably
think?
7 picks, because that Charlotte pick is 1 through 14 protected. Charlotte will probably be in the lottery, so it'll convey as 2 seconds.
Okay.
To 25. So they'll probably get 4 threes or 4 twos and 2 number 1s. But I don't know. What do you think of this deal? Because I think this makes San Antonio. Both these trades that happened hurt the Warriors, because San Antonio's better. Sacramento, I don't know if they're better or not, but they're probably still better than the Warriors. And the Lakers already were better. I think it helps the Warriors in the sense that you don't have to face AD in LA when you face LA. But to me, this seems like the Warriors have to. I said this to somebody earlier tonight. I said, if Dunleavy doesn't make a deal, I think he's going to be put in a can and rolled down Lombard Street by Joe Lacob, because you can't just sit there and do nothing after Steve Kerr comes out 2 nights ago and says, not a time to stand pat. And then you watch the rest of the league get better, teams that you've got to go against. And I mean, I don't think Dunleavy has a job if he doesn't get something done. I really don't. I don't think Joe has the patience. I mean, I get Steph Curry and do nothing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Here, by the way, speaking of Steph Curry, let me share the screen on this quick little video. Did you guys catch this? Did you guys see the video of Steph finding out about the trade?
Oh, I just sent that to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sending that to me, Danny. Appreciate that. And let's
courtesy of Senior Softball, who sent it to me.
Oh, nice. Well, here we go. This is the Warriors. Warriors played last night. Then they had like a poker tournament, I guess. And this is Draymond, Steph, and Pods all finding out the news of the Luka trade. Let's see this.
Are you sure? What? I know, but did he get hacked?
Good or bad?
Neither. Good or bad? That's real?
That's real.
It's frozen.
Draymond did. They'll beat for him just because I didn't flash. You had to get.
Are you sure? What? I know, but did he get hacked?
Good or bad?
Neither. Good or bad? That's real?
Pods like, that's real?
He got hacked.
Yeah.
He got hacked.
That was my
see
thought,
that. You guys
too.
saw that? I couldn't see the video. The video was frozen.
I saw it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I saw it.
All right.
Okay.
I couldn't see it.
I can play it again for you. Here it is. It's just a 30-second video, but let's see if we can. I froze it there at the second. Let me.
Okay.
I see it. I don't see it now, Larry.
Oh, you know what?
You took
Ridiculous.
it off this.
I'm sitting there watching it myself and realizing, there we go. Now you guys can see it.
Okay,
here we go.
Are you sure? What? I know, but did he get hacked?
Good or bad?
Neither. Good or bad? That's real?
That's real. They'll beat him just because I didn't flash. You had to get.
That's
I
funny.
like that woman like going. She's like, that's just weird. All right. The other news of tonight is that Jimmy Butler has communicated to the Warriors he's unwilling to sign a contract extension with them, which has ended talks with the Miami Heat for now. Sources tell Brian Windhorst of ESPN. I guess when Butler trade talks began in December, the Warriors were on his list of preferred teams, along with Phoenix, Houston, and Dallas. And he was zeroing in on the Suns, but they lack a viable path towards acquiring him. He's currently suspended by the Heat through at least the trade deadline. They obviously want to move him. He's got $52.4 million player option for next season. Oh, my God. I to me, this is, I've gotten into this argument with Cyrus a bunch because I don't want Jimmy Butler. I don't want to make the trade for Jimmy Butler. Right. Chris Mullin knows basketball, and I heard him talking about it, and he's like, you know what? I don't think Jimmy Butler is a fit for the way the Warriors play basketball. Right. And I believe Mully on that. I mean, Mully knows Kerr. He knows the system. He knows Jimmy Butler. He knows the way Jimmy Butler plays. Now, Jimmy Butler would give them a dog who would absolutely compete like crazy in the playoffs, and he would make them better. There's no doubt. But when you factor in the money, how difficult it is if it doesn't go well to part ways with guys who make massive contracts. In this case, his contract's up at the end of the year or has got an option. But, I mean, it's a short-term play. I don't think the Warriors are going to win the title with Jimmy Butler this year, so I wouldn't want to bring him in. It seems like he's having enough problems. He makes so much money that Wiggins almost would have to be involved in the deal.
Yep. He'd have to.
And I don't have a problem moving Wiggins, but I just don't see the upside. And I don't think I think Jimmy Butler's not happy because Miami said, guess what? We're not giving you a 2-year, $110 million extension. And so now he's like, oh, I'm unhappy. I want out. Well, where do I want to go? I want to go here. I want to go there. Well, guess what? As soon as those teams go, we're not going to give you a 2-year, $110 million extension either. he's just going to be unhappy wherever he's at next. So to me, this was a no-brainer. No, I know Dunleavy knows him. I know they were together in Chicago. Maybe that will make Joe Lacob feel more comfortable in acquiring Jimmy Butler, but I don't like it. I would much rather steer clear of Jimmy Butler and try to trade for a Zion Williamson and get his body right and see if you could make a run with Zion at full force with Steph in a year. That's to me, the only way Steph's winning a title is if they can acquire a great young player who ascends to a title-worthy player, and then Steph contributes. I don't think you can ever win a title again if Steph's your best guy.
I've tweeted about that over the past couple of days, and
have you?
I think, yeah, I have. And I said if you talked about a potential Kuminga for Zion Williams trade 12 months ago, people would have laughed you out of the room. But it's actually feasible now, for a lot of different reasons. And I agree. If you want to be good in the NBA, you have to take some chances. And if you have a really good organization like the Warriors do, you might take a chance on a Zion Williams, a guy who is kind of sketchy. But do the Warriors really want to pay Jonathan Kuminga $185 million? No, they don't. So I think the upside is there. Whether or not it's going to happen, we don't know. But that's something that I would be in those types of conversations, Larry, if I was the Warriors. I would.
Danny made a point a minute ago that if Dunleavy doesn't do something, that Joe might get rid of Dunleavy. I don't know, man. Joe is so, he's got it. He's a big player. From what I hear, he's not just meddlesome. He's just like the total show. Like Dunleavy literally is not the GM. Dunleavy can't do things independently of the owner. He has to get every move that he wants to make cleared through Joe, who then also has his kids at the table and in the room. Do you think that's a healthy structure? I mean, yes, Joe Lacob is a successful guy. He's a self-made billionaire. He built the Chase Center. They raised banners. But, he's also made some ridiculous statements. He's not light years ahead of the rest of the NBA. This isn't going to continue forever. It isn't your birthright to go to the finals every year. I don't know. He acts and then he had Jerry West initially. But then, in the last 4 or 5 years, look what he's done as far as the credible personnel evaluators. Travis Schlenk, gone. Bob Myers, gone. Jerry West, gone, and now obviously no longer with us. But and who's not gone? Joe's there, with a seat at the table. His kid, who loved Alan Smiley-Geach, is there at the with a voice at the table. When you get into deep nepotism in the front office on the personnel side, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm giving my son some bean counter business role, community relations role. And yeah, he makes $200,000 a year in some kind of hand-picked job, but he's, whatever, he's my son. But when you make him the head of personnel, when he never played a minute in the NBA, didn't really play college ball, never has been a head coach, a scout, a GM, and you're just like, he's a major decision maker in your front office along with you. I don't know. To me, it's like you lose credibility. And he's got his own radio station. He's got his own, tier 1 media yes men. They're pretty insulated from any kind of criticism. This criticism, if it seems odd, it's because I'm the only one who's actually independent enough to actually criticize, because everybody else is either bought and paid for or they just don't give a shit. I'm passionate and I'm not bought and paid for, so I'm actually going to speak the truth about the Warriors as I see it, and I just see terrible nepotism, Joe looking very much like Jerry Jones. I mean, why the Cowboys Jerry Jones is a great businessman.
Yeah,
great businessman.
Just like the Cowboys, exactly. What
he's a great fucking businessman. He built that stadium. He signed all kinds of deals that were first of its kind in the NFL. He's he's increased the NFL revenue pie dramatically. He's increased the Cowboys revenue pie dramatically, but he's also chased out all of his football people, except for, a couple that he pays, and he pays them basically so they'll look the other way and say nothing as him and his idiot kid make all the draft picks. And that's what Joe Lacob's doing. I mean, Joe Lacob has Mike Dunleavy there so he can insulate, he can buffer himself and his sons from criticism, but it's not Dunleavy making the calls. It's Dunleavy making the calls that Joe and his kids sign off on. So the Warriors won these titles, but they didn't win the titles because of Joe. They won the titles because of Steph and Draymond and Clay and Myers and West, and not because of Joe, because of those guys. And I think Joe thinks that they won the titles because of those guys and Joe. And it's not true. They won the title. He bought a team that had Steph Curry, and Steph Curry became an all-time great. And that's how they won rings. And somehow along the way, he's probably convinced himself that he had a big hand in it, and he really didn't. So they're in a real weird spot right now because you got a head coach that looks like he can't develop young players. You got a GM who's a figurehead. You've got two of your kids in the front office, and you want to make all the moves. So I don't know what the Warriors are. What would you do if you ran the Warriors right now? Steph looks old. Draymond looks old. Their title window is closed. The people that I talk to over there say people expect us to make a trade and get this guy and that guy and make a run. And this guy was like, hey, man, we've won our titles. We made our run. We're done winning. And it's like, we don't want to say that publicly, but that's the reality of our situation. That is the reality of their situation. So why would you even flirt with Jimmy Butler? What are you you're going to drive your franchise off a cliff? You're going to charge $52 for 3 beers to see Quentin Post in a year. I mean, you've got to make sure that you've got a representative product because you have an opulent, expensive arena that people are easily going to bypass that expense if you're a 22-win team.
Larry, I got to get running, but I'll say this before I head out. You asked what you would do. This is a hard decision, and I don't say this lightly, but it depends on what you want to do as a franchise. Do you want to be viable like the Lakers are now going to be viable for the next 10 years with a star and Luka? Or do you want to hang on and in 2 years when Steph is done after 2 more seasons, just become completely irrelevant and have 10,000 people show up to a 20,000 arena and just be, the Warriors of yesteryear before, you remember how bad it was for many, many years. So I would go to Steph and say, Steph, we want you here as long as you want to be here, but we don't think we have much to build around you. And we just can't seem to get the tools to get it done because of the way the situation is. You want to ride it out here? We may be a play-in team, or we may not. Or do you want to go to a competitor and try to win another title? And if he says he's ready to go, I would move him. I'd move Green. I'd move pieces, and I would start getting good young assets and getting a bunch of draft picks.
It's really interesting. There was an article that we quoted a couple weeks ago where Steph said in the article, if I want to be a Warrior my whole life, but if I were to play anywhere for a year, I wouldn't mind playing in Charlotte for a year. Okay. You want to go old for young and the past for the future? How about Steph to Charlotte for LaMelo Ball? You want to make that trade? Would you make that trade today? If Charlotte came and said, "Hey, we'll give you LaMelo Ball for Steph Curry. Curry's only got a couple years left. We'd like him to finish in Charlotte, and we'll give you LaMelo Ball and a pick."
I just don't think Joe would do it because he passed on Ball for Wiseman. So it'd be kind of like, wait a minute, I'm trading Curry and I could have had them both.
I think he would do it. And
you think he would do it?
Oh yeah. And the interesting thing is, that's not dissimilar with, that laser beam effect with Luka going straight to the Lakers. I mean, you might say to yourself, well, why didn't you open up to all the other teams that might want Stephen Curry? No, so that's how the business works. And I think if Stephen Curry is ever traded, he's going to be locked in tight in terms of where he lands. It isn't like there's a smorgasbord of teams that have the opportunity to get him. NBA stars have more power than any other professional organization. They do.
Absolutely. Hey, guys, I got to run. Thanks for having
problem, Danny.
me. Appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon, Danny. Appreciate you. There you go. The great Dan Coach Emilio. Cy's going to jump in here in a minute. I know, Red, you got your own show coming up at 8 o'clock or at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
It is interesting as far as, Jay's like, I can see why Larry's pissed about the Luka deal. I don't hate the Lakers. If anything, I was a guy who, the Lakers were like my second team when I was a kid. I mean, you're right. Cause I was a Warrior fan and, I loved World Be Free and Bernard King and, Joe Barry Carroll and Larry Smith, but you know what? They weren't in the playoffs. And then, the Lakers Celtics was such a compelling thing. And I was a total Laker guy. I loved Bob McAdoo. Are you kidding me? Bob McAdoo was like my favorite. I love Norm Nixon.
Yeah.
I used to love Byron Scott on the break in the corner. I loved Michael Cooper in the defense. I loved the Lakers. I always rooted for the Lakers against the Celtics, against the Pistons, against everybody. The Lakers were, I don't know. I always felt like they were like my second team because the Warriors were so bad. But yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, I love sports because it's cyclical and you're supposed to have like a cycle when you go up and a cycle when you go down. And it just seems like when you can avoid the down cycle, now you're kind of beating the game. And that's kind of what the Lakers have done. They've avoided the down cycle. They've had very few down years. I mean, considering Golden State, and it's and what Danny said about LA being the capital of sports right now. It's like, the Giants have been in San Francisco since 1958. The Giants in San Francisco have made the playoffs in back-to-back years one time. 2002 under Dusty Baker, 2003 under Felipe Alou. That's the only time since 1958 that the San Francisco Giants have gone back to the playoffs in consecutive years, okay? The Dodgers have gone to the playoffs like every year for like the last decade.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. I mean,
it's very frustrating to root against those teams.
I mean, you're one of the top guys at really covering the NFL. I mean, it is interesting because on the West Coast, your ability to like really monitor the draft and who's the top offensive line and stuff like that, and I know usually, I mean, that's big time in the South and in the Midwest. And you've actually made that popular here on the West Coast. There's a niche market that really likes that stuff, right? And you're locked in on the NFL. But let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How do you sit well with that non-first down call last week in the KC game? Because that pisses me off worse than any trade to the Lakers, where it was clearly a first down.
You're talking about the Josh Allen.
Yes. How do you make sense of that? And even going back to New England's first Super Bowl, the tuck rule. Give me a freaking break. That was a sack by Charles Woodson. They called New York and they reinvented a call because they wanted New England. And if you're an average sports fan and you look at KC, getting that call, it makes you wonder, huh? Doesn't it?
Okay, so one, I'm going to share the screen because we're talking about something that's a few days old, so I'm going to let people who didn't see it originally see it, just so if you want to see it. Here it is. I'll share the screen. This is the play that Frank is talking about. Right, Frank?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Josh Allen, basically tush push. Eagles do it all the time. And to me, it looks like there's no doubt that he got over that line. Now, how far did he need to go?
I mean, the line marker said that he did. And then the referee was on the right side of that line.
Yeah, the key is the guy pushing. To me, okay, let's pause it real quick. We'll move it back a little bit. you see 26 here, right here,
Yeah.
the running back.
Yeah.
The mistake is 26. Okay. Allen goes in. He's trying to go between 73 and 76. This is the gap they're shooting for, right? But it's got to be this and this. And instead of this and this, we get this, and then this guy steps up and pushes this whole thing this way. And what happens is this guy, 86, instead of pushing forward, allows 26. Watch, we'll show it slowly here. So now see he's pushing. Now 26 is going to push. He gets stonewalled right there. Now 86 has got to push right there, but 26 is the guy pushing. And 86 just runs into 26. And now 86 is still, his hands are not even on the quarterback, but the other guy's 26 is pushing him sideways. And now everything's going sideways. And I'm sure the line was probably right here somewhere, right? And now we're getting this. And yeah.
I mean, they made the call. We saw the sideline view. He was clearly over the line. And they essentially reversed the call. Yet the second official came in and moved them back.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're at a point where there's probably should be a chip in the ball and something a little bit more exact than just some 60-year-old school teacher's eyesight on a cold January day. But yeah, I mean, it looks like he kind of got Josh Allen is either got to go north-south or turn his back on the play and go north-south, and instead he turns sideways on the play and starts going east-west. And look at Allen's feet. He's pushing, but he's pushing east-west. And he needed to turn his back all the way around and push north-south. But then this guy right here, whoever this is for Kansas City, this defender here, obviously he's got him and is driving back. But I mean, yeah, to me, if he crosses the line, he crossed it right here, and yet by the time he gets to here, it's probably not a first down. It was a bad call.
Yeah, I thought it was a bad call.
And what was the other call you were asking about beyond this call?
No, the tuck rule. When Woodson sacked when he sacked Brady.
The tuck rule was just ridiculous.
That was ridiculous.
That was the biggest. I mean, Frank, you and I have watched a lot of high school basketball, right?
Yeah.
You've been, in high school gyms, and sometimes on the road in high school gyms, you get somebody who's not just reffing SI MIDI, but guess what? He's a grandfather who's 4 of his kids graduated from MIDI, and he lives across the street from the campus, and they love him because old Bob walks to the game and he walks home, and he's a big booster for MIDI sports. And it's like, believe me, none of these refs really could stand up to any kind of scrutiny. There were several times in the 80s I felt like I was watching high school games on the road, against some of these WCAL teams, and it just felt like we could not buy a call. Could not buy a call. And it didn't feel that way in other sports, but something about high school basketball and, the surroundings, the atmosphere, being swayed by the crowd, usually refs that have some tie to the school. I'll say this, my brother was the basketball manager, right, when he was in high school. So he just did everything for the basketball team. Well, when I was in junior high, my brother's 5 years older. So when I was in like 5th grade, 6th grade, my brother used to let me tag along with that. I rode the bus with the St. Ignatius Wildcat varsity basketball team, and I went to Bellarmine and I went to St. Francis, and I when they would shoot baskets at halftime, I'd throw them the ball back, and I would gather up all the basketballs. I was like the helper, right? Well, at the end of the night, I can remember watching the athletic director pay the refs. Now, he wasn't paying them off. He was just paying them.
Yeah.
But guess what? Who's cutting your check.
Right.
And if the athletic director's cutting your check, I'm not saying that they fixed the games. They didn't fix the games. I would say almost definitively and confidently that the games were not fixed. But they're still being money handed from the athletic director to the refs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And don't think that. I mean, come on.
It matters.
It matters. It absolutely
definitely
matters.
I can remember a time when I was in high school, and I'm a 16, 17-year-old kid. I didn't realize it, but there were referees who had played for my high school coach, who were like police officers or sheriffs, and now they were, had a part-time job refereeing varsity high school games. And that guy played for me. A close game. Guess what? We won most of those games. My high school record was 48-7.
I mean, it's just so I'm not saying it's not on the up and up, but that high school gym feel is not a great feel. Let's see, I'm trying to get the right format here, but for some reason I have that format, but for some reason I'm not getting everybody in the shot here. Why am I something?
Everybody's in now.
Yeah, everybody's in.
Everybody's in? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What's up, Cy?
Cy, welcome to the mix.
I still owe Frank a phone call. I feel awful about that. I apologize. I will call you. I promise. Great to see you all, man. And I'm sorry for coming late. Like I was finishing up an episode of Golden Days. I saw a text that said, "Apologies, fellas. I'm on a work trip. Not going to be able to make it." And I thought that was you, Larry. And I'm like, okay. And so.
I'm just trying to get the three of us on a regular.
I apologize for being so late, man. Great to see you all, dude. And are you as frustrated with the Warriors' inactivity as I've been? I just finished up a show where it got a little active. It got a little dramatic because some people just don't want to give up Wiggins, and I'm just losing my shit here. It's like, why are people so like? Why is Andrew Wiggins untouchable? Makes no sense to me, man. Like, anyways, great to see you guys.
I'm just trying. I want to get the regular screen that gives us three of us.
You're not finding your happy place.
I'm not getting my happy spot. We moved some
stuff. That one's good.
Around.
Yeah. Why is that one?
That's the trio, but I like the trio box. Anyway, well, let's see. Maybe there we go. Hold on a second. Maybe I'm just having a hard time with this. Anyway. Okay. What do you want to get into first, Side? Did you want to weigh in on the Luka? Do you want to weigh in on the Fox? You want to weigh in on the Jimmy Butler? You want to weigh in on the Warriors at the deadline? What you were just talking about?
I'll leave it to you, man. You're the host, and they're all interesting topics.
Why don't you tell us? We definitely want your thoughts on Luka, but give us your quick thought on what's going on Warriors wise. The deadline's coming up. Jimmy Butler doesn't want to be here. What are the Warriors talking about?
Well, the Jimmy Butler thing I thought was very interesting. What Brian Windhorst reported, and it's not so much the part that Jimmy said I'm out to the Warriors. It's the part that the Warriors reportedly were out. Or no, I'm sorry. Jimmy Butler said I'm not going to sign an extension with the Warriors, and for some reason that was bad news. Like I thought the whole stipulation with Jimmy coming to the Warriors was it's going to be a 1-2 year thing at the most. And it's a short-term move. You see how it goes with 35-year-old Jimmy. If it doesn't work, if he is the head case that he's been in other stops, then you move on. Apparently, if this report is true, the Warriors not only wanted Jimmy Butler, they wanted to give him a contract extension. Thank God that did not happen then. Like, why would you want to give Jimmy Butler an extension? That made no sense. I also don't understand how the hell Jimmy's going to Phoenix. But no, good riddance to Jimmy if that was a stipulation. Also very concerning that the Warriors front office is acting like this. I'm losing faith in this Warriors organization, man. Like Dennis Schroeder was clearly not the move, and we were saying that in Golden Days from day one. Mm-hmm. And now you want Jimmy Butler on a long-term deal? Like what's going through your heads? I don't get any of this. What do you guys think?
No, I think that I mean the Schroeder deal didn't work because they thought that he could run Steve Kerr's offense, and he can't. I mean, he's a pick and roll point guard who drives downhill. That's what he is, and he can't shoot. So unless they were going to modify the offense, this was going to be a loser. Now, Kerr quietly, without making any public statements, has given Schroeder more versatility and more authority to run more high pick and roll when Steph's not in the game, and he's played better. But those first 3 weeks was absolutely brutal. Horrible.
It still is. Frank, the only time Dennis Schroeder actually produces efficiently, with volume, is if it's the Wizards and the Jazz. Every other opponent, those are the only two teams where he scored 20 or more. And it's weird that you bring up the fit, because I remember Draymond Green, when the trade first happened, saying we actually want to adapt to Dennis Schroeder. We want to adapt to his style.
Right.
And the whole time I'm thinking, like, Dennis Schroeder, he put up a career 18 plus points per game this season, playing in the Eastern Conference, averaging 36 minutes a night. Of course you're going to put up numbers doing that. You come to the Warriors, you're facing Western Conference opposition on a night-by-night basis. You're 6'1", which for some reason, I don't know why the Warriors forget height matters in basketball. That was one of the most easily predictable scenarios, at least for me. I never pretended that Dennis Schroeder was some magic fix, but Jimmy Butler, why would you want to offer him an extension? Like, what in your mind is thinking that Jimmy Butler at 38 is going to be worth $50 million? I did not get that at all. I don't get any of this, man. A lot of incompetency and befuddling moves from the Warriors front office, at least from what I'm seeing. But
let's hit the supers here real quick. Crazy Boo Boo Chicken says, Larry, supposedly the Warriors called about KD.
So someone in the chat of my show brought that up, and I've not confirmed this myself, but what they said is that Brian Windhorst, the same guy who dropped the report about Jimmy Butler and the Warriors today, also said, I guess a week ago, that the Warriors contacted the Suns regarding Kevin Durant, and they try to initiate a conversation. I never heard. That's the first time I've heard this. I don't know if it's true. It would be fascinating if they were pursuing him, but the cost would be exorbitant as well. So I don't know if that's even realistic, but.
We got this one from Rokic. He says, Sack got more for De'Aaron Fox than Dallas got for Luka.
Agreed.
Mark Graves says, have we gotten a Mark Cuban reaction? I know he's not the owner anymore. How does he feel?
He's probably pissed.
Oh,
I mean,
he's pissed.
Well, Larry, I don't know if you guys have touched on this. This has been one thing that I talked about on my program regarding Luka. This to me was much more reflective of the Dallas Mavericks' new ownership. It surprised me how few people are aware that the Adelson family bought the Mavericks. They bought the controlling share from Mark Cuban. They're calling all the shots. Mm-hmm. The current GM is the same guy that butchered the Stephen Curry negotiations with Nike. Like, Stephen Curry is an Under Armour guy because of the Mavericks GM just completely treating Steph like shit, disrespecting him, not prioritizing him as a client. And Steph was like, screw this, I'm out. He went to Under Armour, and the rest is history. That is the GM. But I think more importantly, the Adelson family, here's my read on what happened here, is they saw Luka Doncic as a player who Tim McMahon of ESPN reported is overweight. We all know he loves his cigarettes. He eats his burgers. He drinks his Cokes. But he's going to also make over $300 million, or at least he was in a Supermax deal. The Adelson family, look, I would never, from everything I've read about them over the years, I would never want to negotiate with them, do business with them.
Is this the guy who owns the Raiders?
No. They remind me of John Fisher of the A's, though. Like, really,
because isn't it Adelson who got the big chunk of the Raiders?
The casinos. Maybe he owns the arena, but he's a big-time casino magnate. His family is. He died. His wife is in charge now. So they're they're casino magnates in Vegas. They own a newspaper chain as well. Everybody who works for that company hates it. And now they own the Mavericks, and they traded Luka because they don't want to pay him. That's really what this came down to, is they saw Luka, and they're like, yeah, other people see this, once-in-a-generation superstar. We see him as a guy who doesn't respect the fact that we're in charge here and is not listening to us, and he wants $300 million from us, out. And that's the impression I got, is that they don't give a shit about Luka, or they're like John Fisher of the A's, man. Like, all they see is a property and a business asset, and that's how they treat it. And the fans got screwed. It sucks. It's crazy, but
it's an unbelievable couple days for sure. Let's hit a couple more of these. We've got this one from Tommy Huxley. He says, have a Luka Sando Calrissian on me. And then Crazy Boo Boo Chicken again. Larry, the Warriors called about KD. All right, well, you're twice in there. I appreciate both donations there. all right, what can the Warriors do? I mean, is it Vucevic? Is there a trade? Will they not make a deal? I watched them the other night. They don't look very good, that's for sure. They started off 12-3. They're sub 500. I said they were going to win 38 games. I'm looking pretty much on the money.
Yes, you are. You're looking good. Correct.
That's looking that thing is looking very much like it's targeting for 35 to 38.
I wish you bet on it, Larry, because then you could
I know.
talk shit and you could cash in.
Seriously, I could show my ticket, but then when it said like $9 bet, people would be like, so what? But no, seriously, Kerr looks exasperated. The mix isn't right. They didn't get Markkanen in the offseason. They didn't get Paul George. They're trying desperately to make Steph's final run here, relevant. But Steph himself is like, hey, you know what? I don't want you to drive this franchise off the cliff for me. It's a weird vibe. It's like everybody loves Steph, but it feels like Steph's done winning, and that would be an incredible shame if that's the case. But it would be too dramatic to move him because he's the reason, he's the whole show, he's the player people come to see. So what do you do? What do you do? This is a tough decision for Golden State going forward, I think.
Well, I want to first clarify that Windhorst report. I finally found what people are talking about. So Brian Windhorst was on the Dan Patrick show, and this was but this is from like 2 years ago. So I don't know. This is not recent. I don't know where people are getting that from. What I'm looking at is from 2022. I don't see anything recent pertaining to Kevin Durant and the Warriors. So just to answer that, in case someone has something to update me on that and us on that, let us know. But nothing new there from what I think. With all that said, look, I think they need to do anything. Like, Larry, you brought up Zion Williamson. Why is that such a bad idea, man? Why not take a risk on that? What do you have to lose? Like, the Pelicans are not going to be asking for significant future assets. It's a non-guaranteed deal. You leave him after this season if it doesn't work out. Why not do something like that? I'll start there. I don't know. That's
the only trade that makes sense. Because,
I agree.
Because ideally the Warriors, they like Kuminga and they know he's an asset, but they don't want to pay him $185 million. They don't want to pay him. So they might wind up paying him because they have to. But a Zion Williamson for Jonathan Kuminga trade, if you're in that conversation, makes sense. That's something that they should be talking about, and maybe they are behind the scenes. The Vucevic deal, they were talking second-round draft picks. I'm okay with that. But anything remarkably close to a first-round pick, I wouldn't do that either. So I would stand pat if they can't get Zion and just look to see what they have and then make some significant changes at the end. Because one of the goals that the Warriors had coming into the season was to get their books in order. And no one talks about it, but they did some of that stuff. They're in a better financial position than they were last year.
It's funny. Here's a video of a Chicago Bulls coach. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can
Crazy
hide this.
Boo-boo chicken. I love the handle.
Wait a second here. I want to show you this. And Frank, I know you may have to jet in a minute because I know you got your show coming up top of the hour. So
I got it.
anytime.
I got 8 minutes.
Well, that's fine. I'm starving anyway, so
we're only going to go a few more minutes anyway. But
okay.
Let me see if I can share this.
And look, there's a chat comment which I think reflects some reality. I think Ronald wrote it, Ronald writes,
obviously it would not be a straight up JK for Zion deal.
Well, you're not giving up Kuminga for Zion, period. Like, Kuminga's not being traded. Like get that idea out of your heads. That's
I don't. It's funny, Frank. I've heard you mention Kuminga a couple times for Zion here too. My sense of it too is that Kuminga very well could have been traded at different points, but not now. I get the feeling that he's probably not going anywhere now. But I don't know that. I think you might be right, though. I don't know that they're going to pay him either.
Are you going to get Zion in? Are you going to get Zion?
Wiggins, GP2, Looney.
No.
I mean, and picks.
Well,
and it would have to be picks.
No. If I'm the Warriors, I'd do it in a second.
Oh, sure.
But if I'm New Orleans, I wouldn't do that because.
Well, here's the thing: New Orleans is not. It's not like their phones are blowing up for Zion. Like nobody wants him. So the Pelicans are acting like a desperate team who wants. They're going to let him go. They're not going to opt into his contract next season. So from their perspective, if it's, let's say, Wiggins, Looney, GP2, and then you throw in those 2 second rounders, or you add some ingenuity, like what the Phoenix Suns did a few weeks ago, where they flipped a 2031 first round pick for 3 first round picks.
Yeah.
Like, why can't the Warriors do something like that? There are so many teams out there that they don't know what to do with all the draft picks they hold. Like Utah has close to 25. The Pelicans already have a shitload. So the Spurs have a ton of picks. The Thunder have a ton of picks. Like there are teams out there that you can finagle. And again, this is where maybe the Warriors just don't have that guy. Dunleavy Jr. might not be that guy, but like I don't understand why they're not getting more assets like that. So then they can go to the Pelicans and say, "Here's Wiggins. Here's
a video, by the way. Here's a video of Zion talking here about he's talking about the playing for the Bulls here. Listen to this.
Now it's time to get to the part y'all been waiting for, man. So as I'm waiting for these players, I see my guy Zion, y'all, and I heard this man talk to the Chicago Bulls assistant and tell him that he wants to go play for them. If y'all don't believe me, man, here's the footage itself.
Don't say it out loud. I don't know about Zach anymore, but yeah, hey, you can play with Zach LaVine. Well, maybe not Zach LaVine. No, Bill Duffy is Zion's new agent.
Is he?
Yeah. Bill's
Duff
repping him now.
I saw Duff
What's
last
that?
week. I saw Duff last week at the Chicago game.
Yeah, and he just got him. He just got him in the last few weeks. And when I sent him a text, I said, Bill, man, he would be great with the Warriors. Yeah. And Bill sent me a text back, something along the lines of, hey, man, we're going to get him right, and he's going to have a whole nother chapter of his career. And I think Bill understands that Zion is an incredible talent, but he probably needs to shed a little bit of the muscle mass in his shoulders and upper body. He probably needs to get on a very, very body kind of resculpting kind of thing to trim out some of the weight. Because his problem is not just bad weight. His problem is he's got muscle mass and weight and bad weight. So he's got to trim down that muscle mass. And he's just too big. There's too much weight up here. So if you could get him, he played at 285 at Duke. He's probably 315. Yeah. You got to get him. I think Bill understands. Get him back to under 3 bills, and that will alleviate his physical problems, his foot problems. And I just think that Bill, now that Bill's repping him, maybe Bill's got a good reputation. Good, he's based here. I think it would make perfect sense to invest in a trade for Zion.
Duff's my guy, man.
Oh, well, and it's not just great. Zion. There's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of names out there. Like people for whatever reason have this impression that it's either there's only a handful of players you could trade for. Like I would be thinking outside the box, which is what all these trades were that we saw. Not the De'Aaron Fox one. I take that back. We all knew he was going to San Antonio, but like the Luka trade. No one predicted that coming just a few days ago. And when you look at the Warriors, none of us expected the news a year ago that they were trying to trade for LeBron James. None of us knew that they were trying to trade for Paul George. The Lowry Markkanen thing, we had some things leaking out. But my point is, like, it wouldn't surprise me if they were thinking outside the box, talking to teams like Philadelphia, right? Like maybe revisiting Paul George. Like the Philadelphia experiment has gone so bad for Daryl Morey. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe even Joel Embiid is a name out there. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that the Warriors should pursue him. All I'm saying is like why not try and entice Miami with Bam Adebayo? Like, why not present trades that could blow their socks off and get assets? Just do something, man. Like it's inexcusable. This repetitive. We're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again and just expect different results. Like that's literally insanity. And we're watching it right before our eyes. And that's what we're getting if they do nothing at the trade deadline. It's insane. It's literally insane. So why not? Here's the thing too. There's other guys that make some moves with some of the players that you have, and then replace them
off the street. I mean, you could pick up Kevin Knox off your G League team. I think he's an NBA player. Heck, one of the guys that I really love.
To that though, and this is part of why the Warriors have issues. Kevin Knox is not eligible for a two-way deal, right? So anybody that's played more than 4 years loses eligibility, and I think he's on year 6.
I didn't know that.
So the only way Kevin Knox can play for the Warriors is if he's either given 10-day contracts, which I wouldn't hate. At least you could see him play, or make a trade to free up cap space. Because the Warriors only have $300,000 and change available. They can't even sign Quentin Post. So if, let's say, the Warriors somehow magically flip things around and started making a run, Quentin Post would not be part of the postseason roster because he's a two-way guy. The team has no money for Kevin Knox or Quentin Post. So at a bare minimum, that's why I think something will happen. Because I imagine they want these other guys to be getting guaranteed contracts and minutes. I would love to see Kevin Knox. They got to do something. They're going to
shake it up. They're going to shake it up.
The
other guy, I mean, I'll tell you a guy that, now granted, I've liked this guy for a long time, and maybe the bloom is off his rose, but he's available in the next 24 hours as a free agent, and that's Mo Bamba.
Yeah.
Mo Bamba, former lottery pick. He's not old. He's 26.
You're right.
He signed a 1-year minimum salary contract with Philly in the summer of 2023. Last year, he inked the same kind of deal with the Clippers. 28 games with the Clippers. He averaged 4.6 points, 4.3 rebounds, and 1 block per game in 12.6 minutes per game. Shot 46%, 30% from 3, 68% from the foul line, back up to Zubac. But, I mean, Mo Bamba's a talented guy, and to me, Mo Bamba is worth a flyer. I would,
absolutely,
and especially if I could move Looney and some of their other bigs to, create space. If you could make a deal involving Looney, you could replace Looney with Bamba. What do you think? No?
Yes.
I wouldn't replace him for Looney. I mean, Looney's had an outstanding year, man. I mean, he's played damn good basketball. But when I look at, you might disagree, Si, but I think
I'm not disagreeing. It's just my thing is, like, if it's not a young player, like, what's the point of keeping these guys? Like, you're right. He's looked good, but they're a 500 team.
I mean, but I look at guys like, Lindy Waters. Does he have a guaranteed contract?
No. Well, now he does, but it's expiring, so you can still trade it.
What is he? He's not giving the Warriors anything. Nothing.
Ship him out. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Look, I love Kevon Looney, and personally, especially, I adore the guy, man. I do. Yeah. But they're a 500 team, dude. I'm done being like stuck on like the Wiggins thing. It was a whole like heated ending to my last show because there's certain fans out there that want Wiggins. They're like, no Wiggins. It's like, why? Like, why is Wiggins this untouchable piece, man? Like, is he having a good year? Yes. Are the Warriors 500, 11th in the West? Yes. You got to do something here, man. Like, the status quo is abysmal. It's mediocre. I don't. That's the part.
They're just afraid of getting fleeced. I think. I think they don't want to get fleeced. And
stop being a puss, man. Stop being such a chicken.
No, I think you're right, Frank. They do not want to lose the deal, and they're really paranoid. And the only way you can guarantee yourself not to lose the deal is to only engage in deals where you win the deal, and those are hard to make. Hey, Frank, I've talked to you for years, but I've never gotten your thoughts this year on a guy that I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about Quentin Post. I think Quentin Post really looks, to me, there's some Lambeer there. As far as when I say Lambeer, I'm just saying he's a big man who can shoot the ball. The ball comes off his hand really beautifully. Now, I know the percentages aren't great, but this guy can bend his knees and play a little defense. He's got a little bit more fire than I thought. He's a little bit tougher than I thought, a little bit more of an athlete than I thought. He's not kind of a stiff. He's got more of a bend the knee kind of, he seems more athletic. But I love the idea of the big man who can stretch the floor, shoot the deep three. And if he continues to develop, 2 years from now or so, I think he could be a nice piece in a rotation for them. What do you think when you watch Post?
It's funny. I was watching a video. It was really interesting about Nick Saban was talking about when he worked for Belichick. And Saban said that Belichick had some real particulars about how they evaluate cornerbacks. They need to be 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, and run like under 4.4 or under 4.5. Otherwise, they wouldn't recruit them, And it was really interesting. And Saban was like, we watched that barometer, and the only one that kind of was outside of the box that we liked was Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn didn't have those measurables, but they liked him, and he turned out to be an all-pro. When I evaluate big guys, the one thing that I look at with Quentin Post defensively, he has narrow shoulders, and that's a problem. And
that's a good call, man. Good call.
I mean, I'm a talent evaluator, and he has narrow shoulders, which means that he's going to have problems holding his defensive post position. And that says that he's going to be in foul trouble if he plays a lot of minutes. Toughness has nothing to do with size, but if he plays a lot of minutes, he would have some challenges. Anybody who can shoot consistently like he can will have a role. But as Kerr has seen, there have been times this year when he's been overwhelmed physically because his shoulders are really, really narrow.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Also, Frank, I was watching Carolina Duke the other day.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever asked you your thoughts on Cooper Flagg.
What did you think, Larry, from watching?
I mean, he's a big guy who's a little bit thicker than I thought, a little bit stronger than I thought.
Is he 6'7"? What's his height? Is it?
I'd say he's 6'9". He's 6'9".
Wow.
Yeah, he might even be taller. Actually, he's pretty tall.
This is what I love about Cooper Flagg. That dude has the heart of a champion. He loves basketball. Some of these young guys you look at and you go, yeah, he's good, but does he understand he's getting ready to go to a jungle? Cooper Flagg loves basketball, which is why those Olympic guys were so, so boastful about his future because, any shortcomings that he might have, he doesn't have a whole lot of them, but his meter, his want-to meter is on 10. So I'm all about Cooper Flagg.
That's important.
Yeah, I love the guy, man. Love
What,
him.
Frank, I'm curious, going back to Quentin Post, talking about the narrow shoulders, can muscle mass make up for that? Like if he hits the gym hard?
Yeah. What you can do is you can use your forearm, and he plays too high also. If I was his coach, I would teach him to play lower, build up his upper body. I mean, there's some technique things that I could teach a lot of the Warriors big guys that would have that would help them. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis, if I was his coach, he'd be better. All these guys, So yeah, there are some technique things that Quentin Post can do, but I don't know if the Warriors coaches see those things. That's troubling to me because these are fundamental teaching things that a lot of times I don't see. And it's not the players' fault when they're outmanned, when they go out there and they're not utilizing the techniques that they should have. Like first and foremost, your outside leg, if you're guarding somebody in the post, should be 6 inches beyond them. Because if they're a right-handed player, more times than not, they're going to dribble to the lane, to get by you. If you got your forearm and you're 6 inches beyond, you have a head start to beat them to that spot. A lot of times I don't see that happening. So coaching is a major factor in the development of players.
Frank, I know you got to go. I know you got to jet, Frank. But
all right,
one last one here on the way out the door.
Yes,
I referenced it a couple times. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but we all know that it's true, and that is that for whatever reason, this year has been a rough year for the NBA ratings wise, and the numbers have not necessarily been all that good. What do you make of that? I mean, the two most recognizable players in the game are still Steph and LeBron. There's a lot of great young talent in the league. The three of us, we could all speak, all night long about some of the incredible young talents in the league. But it's not about, us. They've got us there. We're already there. We're like the P1s. We're watching anyway. They've got to get the casual fan who's like, hey, I watch NBA sometimes. Sometimes I watch college. Sometimes I watch football. Sometimes I watch basketball. Sometimes I watch baseball. They got to get the casual fan because right now the ratings are down. Why do you believe the ratings are down?
Guys, did you when the Luka trade happened, did the conspiracy part of your brain immediately go to that thinking, which is Luka to the Lakers is going to drastically drum up interest in the game? I doubt that was in reality why they did it, but I don't.
I mean,
think it
that's
hurt.
that
all
to me. It was
about it.
absolutely. We started off the show talking about how I really believe that the Lakers have had a very unnatural, curve to their franchise. I mean, they see every time they run into a dead end, they suddenly get thrown this incredible player in life support, and suddenly they're back on top. It bothers me. I would have felt so much better about this trade if it had just been to any other team except for the Los Angeles Lakers. I really feel like the league is looking at this season going, you know what? If we could somehow get Luka and LeBron in the finals against Tatum and Jaylen Brown and rekindle Lakers Celtics, we might be able to get some of those transcendent ratings back and jumpstart our league. And yes, I think that, how could we not think? I guarantee you, tomorrow there are going to be people coast to coast, some who have no credibility, some that have tremendous credibility, who are going to be screaming at the top of their lungs that this was an inside job and that why did no other team get to bid? Why did the guy get delivered to the Lakers? Why is it suddenly that the Lakers wind up with a transcendent 25-year-old? How come this never happens to the Sacramento Kings? How come this never happens to the Portland Trailblazers? How come, you know what I mean? And those people are going to be right, and they're going to sound right. So, I think the NBA's got a real problem.
He's slipping a little Bitcoin payment to the Adelson family.
But Frank, overall, if I said to you the ratings are down, why do you think that is? What do you think?
I think because there's a difference between a good player, a great talent, and a celebrity. The NBA is devoid of young celebrities. They got one in Wemby, which is and they got one in a Duke uniform now, Cooper Flag. If Cooper Flag comes into the league and does what everybody thinks he's going to do, guess what? He's going to be box office. So I think the positioning of Luka to LA, God knows where Cooper Flag's going to go, but they just need stars. And you got a lot of dull guys who are not like Allen Iverson. They haven't wrapped their arms around communities. They're not flamboyant. And the NBA has marketed itself on those types of players. So they keep leaning on the Stephen Currys of the world, who is revered, and the LeBrons and KD to a certain degree. But they need to get back into the star legitimate making business. You can try to make a star, but if he's not a star, it's not going to work. I think that they're on a real nice path with Wendy, and I really believe in Cooper Flag. I think he's going to be a superstar in the NBA. All right, gentlemen. Good night.
Thanks, Frank. Have a great night, man. Good to see you.
All right, peace out.
And wait, before you jump, Frank, tell people if people want to jump over with you. We got over 3,000 people watching the show.
Awesome.
If a bunch of people, if you want to jump over, we're going to be done here in a minute. At top of the hour, which is in about 20 minutes from now, Frank on YouTube is going to have his In the Dungeon show, just as it's spelled right there. Yep. And obviously, I would imagine you're talking trades, but what are you talking about tonight?
Well, I'm talking about trades. I'm talking about, for the first time in my life, sports life, I can't remember the NBA upstaging the NFL. I mean, this is the week leading into the Super Bowl week.
We're talking Luka.
Monday, guess what? It's going to be as many conversations about basketball than there is the NFL. Roger Goodell probably doesn't like that, but Silver is going to like it. So that's one.
Well, you know what's funny, Frank, that you bring that up? I thought it was peculiar, and I critiqued the NBA for scheduling the trade deadline the same week as Super Bowl week. I didn't understand it, but congrats to the NBA. You actually won that battle this year. I did not expect that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you guys talk about the Warriors winning under 40 games. I think they actually are in line to win 43 to 44. I mean, they play Orlando tomorrow night. They play Utah on Wednesday. I want to see the Warriors get back healthy before, the dam breaks. We're going to talk some Warriors. We're going to talk the NFL. We're going to talk about the trade more. I got a movie review. I went and saw a great movie, September 5th, about the 1972 hostage takeover in Munich. Which is crazy when you consider the ramifications of what took place. That would never happen today. The blatant lying of a country about the status of about athletes, about their lives, just to make a country look good. It was a fascinating movie, and it was historical. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit as well.
You know what's a great documentary, Frank, that I caught I caught it a couple of years ago, and then I stumbled on it on Netflix about a week ago, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of it, but it is the Miracle on Ice,
Yes.
told from the Russian perspective.
Wow, I haven't seen that.
Yes, and it's so good because,
Is it
as you can
depressing?
imagine, I mean, that was very shameful for all those. They had basically the awesomest pro team of all time, and they lost to a bunch of kids, and
Yeah.
it brought tremendous shame on them.
Right.
And it's great. It's so well done. It really brought the Miracle on Ice thing to life for me because we that story has been told from the U.S. perspective only, and to get it from the Russian perspective. Their goalie, their coach, their practices, their habits, how they trained, why it hurt so bad, how their nation responded. It was unbelievable. So check it out. It's on Netflix. I don't know the name of it, but I'm sure you can find it.
All right.
Frank, have a great night, man. Enjoy the live stream. Everybody go give Frank a follow. Check out his show tonight in the Dungeon Show on YouTube. Frank, we'll do it again soon.
All right. Take care, gentlemen.
There you go.
Later,
Frank Red. We're coming down the home stretch on the Krug Show as well here. And Siam, thank you for jumping in.
Yeah, sorry again, it was so late.
Let me hit a couple more of these supers, and then we'll get a couple more thoughts before we get out of here. Crazy Boo Boo Chicken says the Warriors are cooked. Trade everybody in the organization.
I'm not there yet.
Kofi-
I just want to make one thing clear. I am not there yet, man. The Warriors just beat the Thunder a few nights ago, and everyone was feeling good. And then 2 nights later, everyone was back to earth when they got their asses kicked by the Suns. I am not at a point where I feel like we're waving white flag if they make a move. If the Warriors don't make a move,
any move,
I'm ready
or a certain move.
Well, almost. I mean, look, it's a move that'll give Steph some help with scoring. I'm not talking about an all-star level player. I'm just look. There's Jeremy Grant's out there. Cam Johnson's out there. We talked about Zion.
Cam
Williamson.
Johnson would be nice. Can they get Cam Johnson without Kuminga?
Easily, because all the Nets are asking for is, well, not all. I mean, it's a decent asking price, but they've asked for 2 first-round picks. Can you negotiate that down? Maybe, yeah. Why not? I mean, I don't. He's not unattainable. I'm confident.
What would it? But he makes a lot, so it would take Wiggins.
No, it would take. It would take. No. Well, hold on, I'll look it up.
I thought he made like 20 million.
My understanding is if you and I'll look up Cam Johnson's contract right now, but my understanding is if you offer Looney GP2 and we'll confirm this with his contract number because I need to know how much he makes. But
while you're looking that up, let me just read a couple of these. Kofi Noir says Brett Siegel reported the Warriors called about KD. I almost said 49ers. Carson Taylor said, I wish we knew what Dunleavy does on a day-to-day basis. If I was a GM, I'd be kicking the tires on everyone. Bam, Embiid, Ball, RJ Barrett, Zion, Lively. Lively's hurt, I think, for the next couple months.
He is. He's out for the year. That's an interesting question, by the way, Larry, because Mike Dunleavy Jr., you'll see random photos of him in like Europe, international. Like he's scouting. And this feeds into what you've been saying, which is very true, that the real GM of this team is Joe Lacob and his kids. Mike Dunleavy Jr. is scouting. That's what he's doing most of the time and providing reports to the team on who they should be drafting and trying to make a push for in future years.
He probably just wants to get out of the office. I mean, it's like it sounds like in the Warriors seem like I don't know. It just seems like the least fun place to be. For like Dunleavy doesn't. How could you have fun if your boss is meddlesome and you're not allowed to do the job you're hired to do, and the guy's got his kids in the front office. It's just it's I don't know. I feel for Dunleavy. I know he wanted to be a GM badly, but I don't. Man, I mean, you're doing a deal with the devil, man. When you're willing to look the other way as some non-basketball guy hires his non-basketball guy kids to do basketball decisions. I mean, you can rip the shit out of Jed York all you want. Jed York doesn't sit there and make football decisions. Jed York doesn't have, family members that have nothing to do with football personnel who are dictating football decisions. I mean, let's be totally frank about that. That's clown act shit, bro. I mean, that is seriously, that's not big leagues. They didn't win the NBA finals because of those decisions. I mean, they've won the NBA finals and they've made those decisions. There's no cause and effect here. So I know there's an awful lot of Warrior fandom that, people are giving Joe just a huge pass because they're on the tail end of this great run, but it's not Joe's run, it's Steph's run. It's, Joe bought a team that had Steph in his early years and then watched as Steph won titles. And now is trying to bogart the spotlight and take credit for it and vault his kids into the Jerry West, Bob Myers, Travis Schlenk role. Those guys, were scouts. Those guys were personnel gurus. I mean, Jerry West is one of the greatest personnel evaluators ever. Schlenk is damn good too. And to just think that just because your kid went to Stanford and he's your kid, that then all of a sudden you got Alan Smiley-Geach and you're the genius of Alan Smiley-Geach. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, dude, I mean, and who's over there telling Joe he's fucked up? Nobody. Nobody.
Larry,
there's
why,
not one person over there telling Joe he's fucked up. Not one. And everybody's kissing Joe's ass.
Larry, I'm releasing a YouTube short in just moments. I have a producer, Tasha, who's killing it. She's making these for me, and I love her for that. And the short is highlighting your point exactly. How is Joe Lacob getting the message that what the job he's doing is absolute shit? And the answer to that is the fans in Chase Center. Boo! I never hear that. I never hear that. Make a trade! Like, I never hear anything in that arena. I just hear the clanging of wine glasses, cheering, and I can hear people eating cheese. I don't hear the fans actually yelling for change. And if you want change, fans, that's how you do it. Joe's at every game, and until he hears that, I don't see a catalyst for change. But I wish the fans were more engaged.
No, I think you're right. I think Crazy Boo Boo Chicken's right. The Warriors are the new Cowboys. They're cooked. The Dallas Cowboys aren't about winning. The Dallas Cowboys are about Jerry running the show. The Warriors are not about winning. The Warriors are about Joe and his sons running the show. That's what they're about. It's not about winning anymore. And it's like, Jerry Jones can say he's got 3 rings. Joe Lacob can say he's got 4 rings, right?
God, I hope it doesn't turn into that.
It doesn't mean that is Jerry a great is he a great whatever you want to guardian or whatever you want to call it of the Cowboy brand? I don't think so. I mean, they've been totally irrelevant, and we'll see where the Warriors go from here. But this whole we're light years ahead of everybody. I mean, that's just kind of that level of arrogance. Not good.
No, it's not becoming.
Not good.
By the way, Cam Johnson makes $22 million. So
yeah,
you could get him with. You'd have to probably give up a Moody.
Cam and something for Wiggins.
Well, you don't. That's saying you don't have to include Wiggins. You could do Looney.
But I mean, if you traded Wiggins makes 26. He makes 22. They'd have to.
That's a straight up deal. Yeah, you can do that as well. You could do that too. But what I'm saying is, for the people out there, including Steve Kerr and company, who love Wiggins, you can make that deal happen without giving him up. And in all honesty, I would prefer keeping Wiggins if you can, which is why a trade like that sounds so good. It just makes me wonder, what the hell are you waiting for? Pull the goddamn trigger on that. But do you think, Larry, they're going to make a deal?
No, I think I did think they were going to make a deal. They might be able to get like a Vucevic or some piece, but I don't think they will, because what will happen is they kick around so many deals, and then they're always thinking big, but they can't make that big deal. And so you always just be like, well, maybe we can make it at the trade deadline. Oh, well, maybe we can make it in the summer. Oh, maybe we can make it at the trade deadline. Oh, maybe we can make it in the summer. So they just keep kicking this can further down the road. I mean, it's just, and for a team that has an expiring, Steph Curry is a carton of milk with an expiration date. And to sit there and, we're not going to drink it today. We're going to drink it next week. We're not going to drink the milk next week. We're going to drink it in 2 weeks. We're not going to drink the milk in 2 weeks. We're going to drink it in 3 weeks. Well, guess what? One of those decisions, you're going to drink some sour fucking milk. And and there's an expiration date on that thing. So you can sit there and keep kicking the can down the road, but by the time you make the deal that nets you one more piece, Steph will be done. So it's like it really but the bigger problem is not that. The bigger problem is the structure. The structure is wrong. You had Jerry West. You had, now you've got Kerr, and he's got a big say on things. And you got Joe, he's got a big say on things. You got Kirk, he's got a big say on things. You got, you've got Dunleavy. I mean, you just got a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I don't think they can build a consensus. I mean, ultimately, Joe can just, push anything through, and everybody else can just, suck it and live with it. But I don't. If it comes down to them building consensus, I don't think they can. By the way,
I think I might have pulled a trade for you, if you don't mind sharing the screen, that will get the Warriors Cam Johnson. You don't give up Wiggins. You're not even giving up GP2. You'd be giving Dennis Schroeder back. As crazy as I always forget, like that contract is also there sitting. Dennis Schroeder, Kevon Looney, Lindy Waters, get creative, give up that 2031 first, and get Cam Johnson. What's the issue here?
Steve Kerr calls Looney Loon.
Okay, what if we swap Looney with GP2?
Yeah, maybe.
All I'm saying is there are options. I don't like the rhetoric that like there's only so many players, and maybe and just like you said, maybe this offseason, maybe the trade deadline. We've been hearing that for like 2-3 years now, man. It's so frustrating. But it's
and it is difficult to make trades for sure. But I mean,
as we watch like left and right trades happening everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Are other trade pursuits going to materialize? And the reason I say that is because my friend Joe Shasky just tweeted out 2 hours ago, quote, other trade pursuits better materialize.
Well, Jimmy Butler is going to move, and I'm curious to know where he's going to go. There will be other trades. I think there's actually going to be a lot more, because my guess is the Pelicans will make some moves. You have all these tanking teams, like Toronto will probably make a move. Like Brooklyn will make a move. Like someone in the chat, I think Brian Iglesias asked, why would Brooklyn give up Cam Johnson? Because they're in full rebuild, man. Like Cam Johnson's owed $40-something million after this season for 2 more years. Brooklyn wants a clean slate. Cam Johnson's also 28. They know what they're getting with him. He's not going to turn their fortunes around. They're all in for next year's draft and so forth. Cam Johnson can be had. There is a hard report out there that says 2 first-rounders. But again, I don't think this is where being a good negotiator kicks in. They're asking for 2 firsts, come back with 2 seconds, and then find a middle ground, right? That's negotiating, dude. And I just hope the Warriors do something.
The more I think about it, the more I think that is a great comparison, comparing Joe Lacob to Jerry Jones, because here's the thing. Jerry Jones at first was on top of the football world, the way that Joe Lacob was on top of the football world.
You're right.
He was the outsider who came in and talked a big game and backed it fucking up. And he won Super Bowls back to back. And then he got drunk in a bar and told everybody, I don't fucking need Jimmy Johnson. I 500 guys can coach this team. And then he was proven correct because he fired Jimmy Johnson and hired just a guy in Barry Switzer, and he won the Super Bowl. So now Jerry Jones was on top of the football world 3 times over, and he was proven correct that anybody could coach this team and win the championship. But since then, he is the guy. He's the face of the franchise. He's making the draft picks. They're hit and miss. They hit, they miss. They hit, they miss. They've had a bunch of stooges in the front office and running things. And they had times where they had Bill Parcells, but he didn't want Bill Parcells because Bill Parcells said, get the hell out of here. So he wants the Mike McCarthy's, and now he wants this coach that he's got now, Schottenheimer. And you know what? He just signed Will McClay, his actual good front office guy, to like an 8-year extension. But Will McClay, guess what? McClay did a deal with the devil because he wanted the big money deal and the long-term security and the Dallas Cowboys, this and that. But part of the deal is you got to let Jerry and his idiot kids pick the players. And that's where the Warriors are at. Joe was a genius. He was hailed as such.
You're right.
They won rings. He chased out Jerry West, Bob Myers, Travis Schlenk. He replaced them with his kids. And now it's like if you ask Jerry Jones, Jerry, would you rather win another Super Bowl but you're just going to the games? You're not drafting the players. You're not making the trades. You're no longer the GM. You don't make trades. Somebody else is making all the moves, and you have no touch on that. But you're winning. Or would you rather be able to make all the trades and be able to go to Chicago in the pre-draft camp and have your kid in the front office, but you don't win shit? What would you rather do? And I don't know. I think Jerry Jones would rather not win a Super Bowl and be able to play with his toy. And the more I'm watching Joe Lacob, the more I think he's exactly the same. He would rather play with his toy and have his sons play with his toy than, hire Sam Presti and give him total control and just have Sam tell him what he does. He wants to be the puppet master, and he wants his kids to be the puppet master. And it's going to be his downfall. It already is his downfall.
I agree with Greg Gordon in the chat saying ego is a dangerous drug. That's absolutely right. And that's what fuels so much of what you're talking about. I mean, Jerry Jones, it's all ego. It's just here's my response.
You don't think Joe's got a big ego?
No, he does. You're right. I'm not. No, that's I'm saying he does.
Seriously. He is modern day Jerry Jones. I mean, they're so one and the same. It's unbelievable.
I will respond and to make Dub Nation feel a little better because I can't push back against what you're saying, except to hope that it doesn't end up being that way. I would still rather take Lacob than the Adelson family. Like Dallas is screwed because you literally have Jerry Jones. And now you have the Adelson family owning the Mavericks, just giving Luka Doncic away for an aging big who will be irrelevant in 2-3 years. But what you said is one of my biggest fears, and I can only hope that doesn't happen. That's it. That's all I can say.
Do we even know who are his kids? What do you know about it? Do his kids?
Kirk, the good news with Kirk Lacob, but again, this also kind of supports your rhetoric because Jerry Jones, didn't he play football himself?
Yeah, he played at University of Arkansas.
Yeah, so with Joe Lacob,
a little bit of knowledge is dangerous, as they say.
Yes, and Kirk Lacob, he not only went to Stanford, he played as a walk-on the Stanford team, and so he was at the end of the bench, but he was good enough to actually make the team. So in one hand, you think to yourself, okay, he actually at least knows basketball, but then on the other hand, Jerry Jones knows football, and they still have that mess. So who knows if that knowledge is helpful or just merely feeds the
95.7 Brian is worried about Joe Stankai. He says, would you all rather have Cohan instead?
No.
See, no, but that is the kind of thing when you can't win the debate, you just throw out something like that.
Yeah. That's what I did. I said,
would you rather have Well, yeah. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he's making his kids the GM, and he ran out really good GMs, but would you rather have Chris Cohan? It's like, I hear what you're saying, but I can't really, that's not really the mic drop moment. I mean, it's like, so Chris Cohan is one of the worst owners in the history of modern American sports, who literally had like 14 different lawsuits going at one time. He was like the most litigious asshole of all time.
Well, he had to sell for that reason. Didn't he have like tax?
He got booed at the All-Star game, the Vince Carter All-Star game, and he was a total joke. Even though, the funny part about it's funny how these things work. Chris Cohan is like one of the most charitable people
of
all time. Yes. Like when I went and started doing my Chris Cohan deep dive, this guy gives so much money to all kinds of great charities. I mean, he is a very, very consistent donator. And yet you say Chris Cohan to Warriors fans, and it's like he's terrible. He's the Antichrist. Do they care about his donating to all these great causes? No. All they remember is he was a terrible Warrior owner, and the Warriors were terrible during his run.
Such
and that's
dark
it.
years, man. Such dark.
Those were remember that clown Rob Rowell? Remember Cohan's little
Bobby.
Bobby Rowell.
Oh,
Where's Bobby Rowell these days?
You know what's really funny about that?
Where's Bobby Rowell?
He's somewhere. I saw his name recently getting hired somewhere. You're right though.
Is he in the NBA?
I'm gonna look it up because I could have
find me Bobby Rowell.
Oh no!
Talk about a guy who went from the penthouse to the outhouse.
Rick Welch.
He got totally played. He got so played by Stack Jack. Oh my God, Stack Jack played Bobby Rowell like a fucking fiddle. It was unbelievable. Signed him to a big money deal as soon as it was the ink was dried. Demanded a trade. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Stack Jack, unbelievable. So anyway, we'll see, man. We'll see where it goes. But, man, it's looking very Jerry Jones-esque in Warriorland.
And just to add to your theme, Larry, if the play-in tournament did not exist, 'cause that's a very new introduction to the NBA. What is it, like 3 years old now, 4 years, something like that? If that didn't exist, this Warriors team is very reminiscent of the 2000s version, man. Like an 11 seed without the play-in is where the Warriors typically were. And if the play-in did not exist, I don't know if the Warriors are even a playoff contender at this point. They'd be mathematically in it, but the optimism would not nearly be as high. And this team is looking mediocre, man. It's getting sad.
What do you talk to Warrior fans regularly? Why don't we finish with that? What do you? We're 2 hours in. We're just going to finish here, but and John Muraset says, "Great stream, Krug. Thank you."
Oh, good.
We don't normally stream on Sunday nights, non-football season, but you know what? With this trade coming down, and I knew the Warriors were off tonight, and I thought, man, we'll see if we get Cy and Danny and Red.
Did you even bring up the Sacramento Kings? Because
we talked about that trade as well. I actually love that trade from Sacramento's perspective. Why? Because Monty McNair was under the gun. De'Aaron Fox wanted out. It's Sacramento. They have a hard time attracting anybody. And I thought they got a great deal. I mean, the Kings, I don't know if you saw the deal, but it's Fox goes to the Spurs. They also move Herter in this deal to the Bulls. But they get Zach LaVine, they get CD Sissoko. I like Sissoko. And they get 3 number 1s and 3 number 2s.
Yeah.
6 draft choices, Zach LaVine and CD Sissoko for a guy who wanted out. I like that trade. I don't love it, but I like it. It's definitely a good save. I mean, why didn't the fucking Mavericks get 6 picks?
Exactly. Well, that's been a huge. The Mavericks' perspective from this is nonsensical, man. Like they got fleeced, and I think that's putting it lightly. But if you're the Warriors and you bring up that Kings trade where they got this haul of picks and a few good assets. Why not do something like that? I mean, instead of standing pat, if you know you're not going anywhere, why not at least build? Like the fact that they're sitting still is the maddening part. Like you're in this no man's land. You're sitting outside of the play-in. So either make a decision to surge in the standings or make a decision to build for the future. I don't get this like do nothing approach. Like that's the part of this that makes no damn sense to me. What are you pulling up?
This Lake Up picture where he's just a maniac. People are like, "Oh, you hate Lake Up." No, I don't hate Lake Up. I don't like people who. I don't like people with just big fat checkbooks that bogart the spotlight when they bought something. You're not a genius. You bought it. You know what I mean? You didn't. If you drafted Steph Curry, you're a genius. If you're Rod Thorne, you're a genius. If you're Jerry Reinsdorf, you're just a rich guy. Well, let me ask Jerry Reinsdorf owned the Bulls, but Rod Thorne drafted Michael Jordan. Larry Riley and Don Nelson drafted Steph Curry.
And then Krause
Joe Lacob bought the team that had Steph Curry and wrote a big fat check. So, and
do you believe though in the premise, Larry, that shit rolls from the top? Or is it more nuanced than that? And I'm being too black and white.
What do you mean? Explain
just
what you're
in
talking
the
about.
sense that like where if something fails, you usually point to who's in charge. But at the same time, if something works and succeeds, you do the same, right? Like so in Lacob's case, as the owner, he did take over and they won. They built a dynasty. I mean, this is a Warriors franchise that no one expected.
He's Jerry Jones. Right? I mean, he deserves the credit for the dynasty, but he also is going to deserve the blame when they go 25 years without anything, if that ultimately is the case. And I'm telling you, man, it doesn't look good right now. It really doesn't. Right. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But you got here because of Don Nelson, Larry Riley, and Jerry West, and Bob Myers, and Travis Schlenk, and those guys are all gone. And now you think you can do it. You think your kid can do it. I mean, do you see the problem there?
Oh, no, I do. And I'm not saying you're wrong about anything. I'm just saying maybe it's too soon to pull the Jerry Jones card is all I'm saying. Like hopefully it won't.
No, but it's looking you're right. It is probably too soon because Jerry Jones has last won in 1995 and that was 30 years ago, where Joe last won 2022, which was 3 years ago. But if 27 years from now, what I think is right, which is that they don't have any more rings. It's Jerry Jones all over again, isn't it?
No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right.
I mean,
and Brian
granted, that's 27 years.
Jesus Christ. If you're a Cowboys fan, this is depressing, by the way. Brian Schottenheimer is your new head coach. Like, yeah.
And why is that? Because he's willing to get along with Jerry Jones.
Yes.
I mean, Jerry Jones is going to hold court in the locker room, and everything that you say doesn't matter. Everything that he says totally matters.
Yeah.
So he's the face of the Cowboys, and his son Steven, if you look at the war room on draft day, it's Jerry and Steven at the head of the table.
You're right.
Making a lot of the decisions. Now, do they listen to Will McClay, their top young scout? They obviously do, but do they always listen to him? I don't think so. And, I mean, this is a franchise that had Tony Dorsett and Emmitt Smith, and they didn't even give themselves a running back this year. Why? Because they don't know what they're doing. They're just a horrible franchise at this point. So I hope that's not the Warriors, man.
Have you watched? I'm only 2 episodes in, so please don't spoil it for me. But have you seen the show Landman yet?
No.
I'm only 2 episodes in. The hype is real. Strongly recommended. Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Yellowstone 1923, like he wrote this show. He's the showrunner. Brilliant, bro. And supposedly, I haven't seen it yet, Jerry Jones takes an acting turn in this program, and it's a good turn. I've heard praise given to him for the job he did. So, but just in case you're looking for a new show out there, it's on Paramount Landman, starring Jerry Jones. No, Jerry Jones has a small role, but it's Bob Gordon is fantastic.
Lies says, Larry, are you watching the Super Bowl? Yes, I am.
And putting money on it. And
I think the Eagles. I like the Eagles.
I do too. I'm totally with you. Like I don't think people are understanding the difficulty. And this is where sometimes, I try to be an objective person, have a scientific mind, believe in logic and reasoning, but there is also a lot of things in this world that work in mysterious ways. One of those is the three-peat being a damn difficult thing to attain.
It's impossible. It's near impossible.
Near impossible. They're this close, but the Eagles are good too, dude. Like you're right. I'm with you.
Eagles are better. The Eagles are better. Eagles are better across the board. The only thing that's better about Kansas City is Mahomes and Reed. Spags, you know one thing I will say, I love the under too. I love the under. And if I'm gonna bet it, I'm probably gonna bet, what's the spread?
I don't know. I've been looking at it. I think it's 1.5. Eagles are favored though, right? I think. Here, I'll look it up.
No. Kansas City's favored. Kansas City's favored. Let me see.
I thought I saw a line that had the Eagles.
There's no way the Eagles are favored.
I'm looking it up right now. Oh no, you're right. KC is favored by 1.5. So maybe I had it wrong. And
so
Eagles.
I'd
plus
probably play the
107.
Eagles on the money line.
Yeah,
Eagles on the money line, or I'll tell you what I kind of like is I like Eagles on the 7.5 point teaser. Why? Because now you get Eagles plus 9. Is that right? Yeah, Eagles plus 9 on the 7.5 point teaser.
I like it.
And then you tease the 48.5 up from 48.5 to 55.5 or 56 to 56 and
bet
go
the
under.
I like it, dude, because the Chiefs are not blowing teams out this year, so that will likely be a cover in terms of the spread.
Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs' defense is going to slow down Philly's offense, but Philly's defense is going to slow down Kansas City's offense.
For the daily fantasy junkies like myself, I play underdog fantasy like all the time now. And here's what I bet, and I'll have to know your thoughts on this. So I made a pick for the Super Bowl, and again, I'm not an expert on the NFL. So Saquon Barkley, I picked that he's going to score higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. Meaning, if he gets one touchdown, I win. What do you think?
Love it. Saquon Barkley, one touchdown? Yes.
Yeah. So I also have Jalen
Love
Hurts going higher than 213.5 passing yards.
Don't love that.
You think he's going to go lower?
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, let me just, what's the number again?
213.5.
Okay, so here's his game log. I'll tell you. So you need 214 passing yards.
Correct.
Let me tell you the number of times he's had 214 passing yards this year. He did it once against Washington in the playoffs. He did it
last. Yeah.
You say 214?
Yeah.
Okay, so he did it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He did it 7 times in the regular season. 7 times he went over 214, but he only done it once in the playoffs. I would go under. You know why?
Okay. Right.
I love Kansas City's defense, and I love Philly's ability to run the ball here. I think Philly's going to run Saquon Barkley, and that's going to drive that number down.
I love it. I will adjust my pick. And then the third one, I had 3 picks here. Patrick Mahomes throwing more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. So 2 or more, and I win. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one because they don't run the ball on the goal line that much. It seems like they love to throw it, and they're here's the thing: Kansas City does things that it's basically a run, but it's a shovel pass. It's a pass. All he needs is a shovel pass to Kareem Hunt, and he goes in, and that's even though it's Kareem Hunt on a run, it's actually a pass from Mahomes to Hunt. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
All right.
Yeah, those are the 3. All right, that's going to do it for us. Let me just thank the sponsors. And Cy, if you want to thank your sponsors, we're brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Call Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. We're also brought to you by Mancini's Sleep World. If you go into any Mancini store, use the code KRUG10, and you'll get 10% off. KRUEG 10, and you'll get 10% off on any Mancini's location on your mattress purchase or on their website, sleepworld.com. And thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early. So go ahead. If there's anybody you want to shout out, feel free.
Yes, real fast. First of all, Pig and a Pickle. Again, if you're running out of brisket, you're doing something right. That's how you're supposed to have a barbecue. So kudos to Pig and a Pickle. I cannot wait to try it. I'm long overdue for that. I only want to give love to one sponsor on your program, sir, if you don't mind, and that's Dr. Rosanelli, only because I want to drum up some business for him. I want a long-term sponsorship with Dr. Rosanelli. So, folks, if you don't mind, and especially if you're losing your hair, if it's thinning, gentlemen, look good, feel good. Do not be LeBron James. Larry, if you don't mind approving the screen share real fast. This is my new tactic to help drum up business for Dr. Tom Rosanelli. Don't be LeBron James, okay? Don't be LeBron. Go visit Dr. Rosanelli. Go to Rosanelli.
Is that a younger LeBron, or did LeBron have work done? Did he hit Rosanelli?
Whoever he hit was not as good as Rosanelli. Rosanelli's even better. So don't be LeBron James. Hit up Dr. Tom Rosanelli, 415-931-9881, or visit rosanelli.com. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't think people realize that, before I met Rosanelli, I had absolutely nothing. This is all brand new growth.
Bravo.
All within the last couple weeks.
And Larry, I'm going to take your bit here. I shaved this morning, and thanks to Tom.
Exactly. He used a little Rosanelli cream on that chin, and it's just like a freaking weed. It's just growing like a madman.
I'm hairy. I am a hairy man. There's no doubt.
Rosanelli produces results. Okay, he's not Jerry Jones. All right, he produces results. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Cy. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Red. Thanks to Danny. They were here earlier. We don't do a lot of Sunday night deals, but it was good to do this. I'm back with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Damon Bruce will be in the house. We'll start our Super Bowl week with Damon coming back from Mexico. We'll see how that works out. And then I believe he's back tomorrow. And then tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I'll be streaming with Grant Cohn on both channels. So Grant and I will be back streaming again tomorrow. That should be good.
Your number one show, I'm guessing, right? In terms of traffic, is that your big hit?
You know what? Grant's got such a huge following. I mean, Grant's got like over 150,000 subs, and he's cooking. So
damn,
probably the biggest one, but not, we've had some amazing ones. Me and you have done some amazing shows. Me and Dieter have done some amazing shows. I did one the other day with, who was it that got John Chapman, who's a 49er content creator, who's going to be streaming with me on Saturdays.
Nice.
John Chapman and I, last time we got together, was like 35,000 views. I mean, it was
wow. Okay,
yeah,
good stuff.
Big stuff. Also this week, Jackson Slater is going to stop by. You say, who's Jackson Slater? He is the Sac State offensive guard who played in the Senior Bowl, who's getting ready for the NFL draft. I'm a Sac State guy. I reached out to him. He's like, Krug, I'd love to come on the show. So fired up to have Jackson Slater on. I'm not sure exactly what day. Dane Brugler, who's an NFL draft analyst, is going to join us. We're going to have a great week of shows. So catch me on Niners Nightly tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And it should be a fun show. So that's going to do it for us. Have a great night, everybody.
Real quick, if I can do a plug on that note.
Yeah, please do.
Tomorrow night is Warriors Magic. Let's pray the Warriors make a move. That's all I'm hoping for. Just please make a move, because this act is stale. It's old. It's going nowhere. And tomorrow night, the beautiful, the talented Sophia Jones will join me for post-game Golden Days. Larry, it's always a pleasure, brother. Thank you. Love you.
There you go. And Caveman says, why no Grant streams anymore? No, there was no reason for it. I just, I just got real busy after the year, and we went our own directions for a few weeks, but you know what? Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, Grant this, Grant that. I treat people based on how they treat me. And him and I have a great relationship, and I love streaming with him. When I was at my lowest point, not feeling great, he helped me out, showed me a new way, gave me the encouragement to get over here on YouTube and to really kick ass. He has supported me throughout my entire run here on YouTube. And I understand, he takes strong opinions, and some of you guys love him and some of you guys hate him, and I get it. Believe me, I get it. But just when people say to me, hey, why do you do this? Just have a little belief in yours truly, right? Have a little belief in me that I know what the fuck I'm doing. But I'm also, one thing that you know about me, if you know my show and you know my content, I know Cy and I have been friends for a long fucking time.
25 years, man.
I am loyal. I am loyal.
We have that. I feel like that's a huge bond of ours.
If you're my friend,
yeah,
you're my friend.
I believe in loyalty, man.
Whether you're my friend, it doesn't matter. I don't go through friends. I gather them. Some people gather people and get rid of them. I don't. I'm loyal. Same. I'm just a loyal person. I'm loyal to my wife. I'm loyal to my kids. I'm loyal to my job. I'm loyal to my channel, and I'm loyal to my friends. And That's the only.
Well, this is written though,
That's what my dad taught me, man. That's all I know. My dad told me. I remember as a little boy, he's like, if you want to, and I can remember. He's like, if you want to have a lot of friends, you gotta be a good friend.
That's very true. Good advice.
You know what I mean? And that was like my dad telling me that when I was like 8, 9 years old. Hey, you want to have a lot of friends? You got to be a good friend. Think about what that means. That means somebody needs, help. You help them. That means somebody needs your support. You support them. That means somebody needs you to show up on their show because they got a big show and they're trying to impress people and they feel like you're going to help. Then you do it.
Yep.
You do it. And so. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying I am a loyal friend,
I'll pat for you.
And I'm not gonna. And I told Grant, I said, hey, look, we give opinions for a living, and our opinions are gonna be sometimes you guys are gonna love them, sometimes you're not, and this is a tough business, man. This is a tough business.
All right.
Yes, it is. Okay, and you're not gonna go very far buttering people's muffin every day. So you're gonna have to at some point have some balls, have some guts, and you're gonna have to take on some people from time to time. And you're gonna have to speak, truth to people's face, sometimes publicly in uncomfortable situations. Do you think I liked telling Kyle Shanahan that? I noticed that his team was dogging it in the NFC Championship game, and I had to ask him if that was his culture. You think I wanted to ask him that question? Do you think I wanted to sit there and blow up the 49ers press conference by saying, hey, I just watched the film, and you had guys who were Cadillacing it in the fucking conference championship game. What the hell was that? But guess what? Sometimes you got to ask the tough questions, and I'll give Kyle Shanahan a shit ton of credit. Why? Because when I asked him that super tough question, he didn't try to run from it and be like, that didn't happen, or try to demonize me or attack me or Krug, you don't know what you're talking about, or who the hell are you, or no, he's like, no, it's absolutely not our culture, and we didn't like seeing that, and I don't think it's reflective of who we are as a team. And then John Lynch 24 hours later is like, damn right, that's not our culture. Damn right, that's not how we play. They were disgusted by that. They were sickened by that. They wanted to eradicate that. And then what happened on Super Bowl Sunday? Chase Young played his ass off. They lost the game, but he played his ass off. So why? Because the rest of the guys in that room were like, dude, you do not Cadillac it in the fucking championship game. You do not Cadillac it in the Super Bowl. We're trying to win a championship here. So there's footage. If you don't believe me, go watch the mic'd up version of Super Bowl 58. And what you're going to see in the early portion of that is you're going to see George Kittle going up to Chase Young, and he bangs him on the shoulder pads. And he said, hey, Chase, there ain't no meetings next week. There ain't no lifting sessions next week. There ain't no practice next week. Whatever you got, I need it tonight. I need it right now. Every play, every snap. That was in direct response to him, Chase Young, Cadillacing it against the Lions. And George, face to face, is confronting him on the sideline and encouraging him to play with his hair on fire. And Chase Young, you know what he said? He goes, you've got me all day long. I will not let you down. I mean, the skin on my arm started getting, I was like, whoa, look at this guy. That was all born out of him being called out for dogging it. Okay. And it's easy. I could have sat there and just said nothing. It would have been a whole lot easier to sit there and say nothing. That was the last question of that press conference. Nobody had asked that question. No, and you telling me nobody saw that? Nobody else saw that. Not single one person who covers the 49ers saw in the All-22 rewatch of that game that Kevin Givens and Chase Young were Cadillacing it on, against the in run defense. Nobody saw that. I think somebody saw that. It's just, you know what? It's an easy question not to ask. I'm just saying, ask tough questions, but be loyal. Be loyal to your friends. There you go.
Good advice. Bravo.
That's all my that's my.
Yeah, that was good. That was good, man. That was good.
That's it.
Cut that
That's
out. Have Kevin Kruger, your executive producer, cut that out and make it short. That was a good little segment.
Sometimes, dude, you have to ask. You got to ask tough questions. And bottom line, though, be loyal to your friends, kids. Be loyal to your friends. Seriously, the same people you meet on the way up are the same people you meet on the way down. And being loyal to your friends is something that go to the grave with. Go to the grave with, man. I want every person who's ever been a friend of Larry Krueger to be like, dude, that guy was my friend forever. There were times when people didn't like me and he still liked me, or whatever. Anyway, that's enough of that.
No, it's sound advice. But I feel like Caveman was asking though, like, so Grant and you are still streaming, like the way.
We just haven't streamed for since the playoffs ended. But yeah, we streamed on Mondays. I just, I was pissed at the way the season ended. Not, of course, at him, and he obviously was not pissed at me. We're both just frustrated by the way the season ended. So, he makes a ton of content. I make a ton of content. We both stream with a bunch of different people. I just wanted to give it a couple weeks so we weren't just repeat. One thing, if you stream with people too much, you have a tendency to repeat their points. And then I don't want to repeat his points on my show. I want my points to be on my show. So, but anyway, no, love Grant. We're going to stream again tomorrow at 4. So check that out, and we'll be back doing it regularly. So anyway, that does it for us. Thanks to Cy. Thanks to all of you guys. Have a great night. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.